Let me know. Always have some questions. Right. You know what I'm saying? Always have some questions. Right?
I did have one question. I feel like you answered it though.
Please.
Like I know some organizations, they don't like you like studying other places. But that was gonna be one of my questions. But obviously, I see that. It's not
You gotta study everything.
Right.
Study all things.
Oh, so it's not an issue with a studying all.
Oh, you know, obviously, like I'll keep it real. If you were to say, okay, I'm learning with the gods here, but if I go to the church and start learning with the Hebrew study or whatever, I'm not gonna say that that's the same type of study. Or that's religious study. That's not what I'm teaching here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But yo, learn. You know what I'm saying? You guys are grown men, though. I can't tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Right.
You know? Right? That's what I said, though. What was the first thing I said? The 3 things I tell every student, if they never come back, I said, the first thing is have a criteria of who it is that's teaching you. Right? What do you want? What do you expect to be learned? How well do you expect to be learned? That criteria is more important than asking me. Right? Because I know what I'm learning. I know where I'm going. Okay? Like I said, after every class, right? My week ends at the end of this class. My week begins after this class. Right? So everything I studied during the week to try to be good enough to teach this class, it's over. Right? It's over. This is all I got. Everything that you get is all I got. You know what I'm saying? But when this class is over, I have a chance to be smart again. I have a chance to learn more, and be able to share more. You know what I'm saying? And so everything I told you, I'm doing. I tell everybody, especially when they're in my classroom, write your own journals, your ideas, what you're learning about, the books you read, all these things. Don't tell people to do things that I haven't done. You know what I'm saying? I got what I don't have my journal with me, but shit, I'm on journal 70 right now.
I'm journaling too.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm I got down with my notes, but I mostly like write like when I'm making my rhymes and stuff. But I think I need to start jotting down my points, and because people have always told me that ideas that I should write down a journal or write down.
I'll say this, right? There are MCs that are dope that I've taught. I've taught many MCs. Really not
They come to me like I did.
everybody want rap. Every kid want to rap, if they, you know what I'm saying? And they already rap, right? But the thing is, though, is that if you write one way, you can write another. If you write raps, you can write poetry in different stanzas in different forms. It means you could write prose, and it also means that you could write essays.
What you told me?
No, honestly, if I can do it, then I can teach. See, that's why I'm, people have the knowledge to be taught. I was taught twofold. I was taught to teach outside, like all of us. I was also taught how to teach in the class, which is something that helps you do that. So I spent a long time with those who taught it here. Everybody that was alive, every guy that was alive that ever taught at this school, that was alive when I was starting to teach, I built them. You know what I'm saying? So I got to move down, like I mean, this lineage, I can't be proud of the Fuji's, you know what I'm saying? I gotta be on point, you know what I'm saying?
The cheek of
I'm just saying, I said proud, I like sheep. It's all right.
I like sheep too. I like sheep too. Yeah. You know what's crazy? I'm about to go one point. We was having this talk the other day.
Let me know your question.
We said sheep is like we did sheep to our prize, right? And I said, yeah, but sheep and prize is like Nas against the third grade rap. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, because sheep does fit the style and the, you know what I'm saying?
Sheep is actually
Yeah.
among them.
Right. Yeah, my club didn't either. He said he had more bells and whistles.
Well, that's what one of the producers is
Right.
right?
Bells and whistles. Right. When he was rhyming, it's a lot of bells and whistles.
Right.
Bells and whistles. What I mean by that, though, is like he didn't have much to say, but he had he was using a lot of technical devices. They weren't very well done, but he was using a lot of stylistic devices, not even technical devices.
Stylistic.
You know, more stylistic devices. You know what I'm saying? High inflections. He would sing songs, chants, things, being off key. You know what I mean? Being, frenetic, giving it a frenetic vibe. That gives it excitement. Even his live show, you know what I'm saying? Listen, I put this side note though, because it was one of the best shows I was at. I was at the first show the Fugees ever did after they released their album.
That was downtown.
Right, so it was Friday. No, they're from New Jersey. It was in New Jersey. I forget where. Because they drove me, and I was like, I don't know where the fuck we are. I just know the show's here. I was like, I gotta drive you back because I don't know. You ain't throwing me in Newark, you know. But that very first show, he was doing the show. You know, he was doing things, right? And it was a lively show, but people were demanding that she sing "Killing Me Softly." That wasn't a song that was on the set. That wasn't on the set. People was like, y'all enjoying yourselves? They were like, yo, Lauren, you gotta sing "Killing Me Softly." Like, she just had a magnetic, She's had a magnetic, And so I got to see. I don't know if it was the first time she sang it live, but it possibly might have been. Sing "Killing Me Softly."
Before the 20 million. That was before the 20 million.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And I'll say she didn't. She's really a talent. She sang it better and better than most. I remember that. It was dope too. And I was back there. I was enjoying it. I was like, yo, what up? And I was next to some Trey of Far Side. It was like, oh, this shit's crazy, man. It was like, you know what I mean? But 96. I think when the album dropped, I forgot what.
It dropped in 90.
No, 96.
96.
But I forget what month and stuff.
It dropped the same. It dropped around the same time all out when we dropped.
Yeah, 96. Yeah,
96.
Right? A lot of great music then.
Yeah. Oh man.
Hard to decide. Back then, that's why when I write about music, I don't do letter grades, number grades. You're not gonna get no mics. You're not gonna get nothing. I never do grades. I hate music by grade.
Okay, so you never respected that on mic.
No. It's not that. It's just that over the years, I don't respect. I love music, so I don't. Okay, I've been to two different genres, so you see my point, right? Talk about Marvin Gaye, What's Going On, right? That's a classic, right? And let's say I mentioned some undeniable classic, Rockin's Painful, right? Those are undeniable classics, though. They both get the same grades. So what are you learning from? You know what I'm saying? And then there are some records that are really classic, but there's the classics of classics. You know what I'm saying? The ones that the whole album is filled with essential songs. You know what I'm saying? But the real reason, though, is because I want people. It's ego first. I want people to read my writing. Don't go looking at the damn number, how many, and then you don't read my whole point. Like, right. I want people to, as a writer, the music journalist is about music appreciation.
Right. I like to read what a person thinks. I like to know what you think.
The job of the journalist in music is music appreciation. So the quality of the music and to give an appreciation so that way listeners that they enjoy it, they realize most people read it to see, okay, I like this kind of music, I'm gonna go get it. But what the music journalist is trying to add on to that though, you like this kind of music and this is what you're getting. But this is for you to listen closely, to see how dope it was. And when you get deeper into music and shit like that, those little nuances, they matter. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And most people, they can't write that. Like if I gave somebody the assignment that was doing soul music, they couldn't write me a paper or even build on it. Why are Mary J. Blige's records worthwhile? Because a lot of times you can hear Mary records and you can hear mad mistakes on them. She makes mistakes though.
Oh yeah, she's
all the time.
She's not really a good singer.
On some of her best songs. You know what I'm saying? So what makes it? That's what soul music is.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
That's right. Because even though she's not the best singer, it's who she is when she brings the song to life.
Right.
That makes them shits classic. It's her putting herself in them songs, which makes that shit classic like that. You know what I'm saying? And not as well as the writers and producers that's around her building.
Right. It's It's always been that way with great singers. Like, you got the greats of some this kind and that kind. You know, the technical super wizards like Ella Fitzgerald, and you got like the raw blues and soul like Billie Holiday. You know what I mean? Right? Right, Otis Redding. His voice is not beautiful like that. You know what makes a James Brown's ballad? I'm not even talking about like the I'm Black and I'm Proud. I'm talking about like his ballads. He has dope ballads.
He has dope songs.
Yeah, he has dope ballads.
I haven't heard too many slow songs.
All right. I'll give you my favorite James Brown album though, the P.E.A.C.E. You hear that album?
P.E.A.C.E. That whole album.
1972. No, listen to the whole thing.
Okay, I wasn't born.
He got songs that everybody sample like Mind Power,
right,
all that shit. But there's a beautiful ballad. There's at least one, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never really heard James Brown.
What about the most famous one? Because he always sings at the Apollo. Try me.
Okay, try me. Okay. That's a classic.
Yeah. You know what though? If one of the elders came in here and heard you say you never heard of James Brown, they would have fainted.
Right, James Brown slow song. Right? I know.
The Prison of Love, he did, man.
Yeah, but his voice though is not beautiful, like you know. But
right. Okay, so it's the same thing with Mary J. Blige. Her voice is not really beautiful, but it's just something about how she put it together from herself in that. It's like she puts her soul in it. She like it's soul music, and she literally puts her soul in it for you to understand her. That's like Aretha Franklin. She had to do so much because she had a beautiful voice.
But you know, Aretha Franklin started with, like, a lot of people don't really know. She started off like Mary J. Blige in the sense where she was more raw.
Right.
That was the technical aspect of her singing was own, and she got training for that. But as far as the soul, I mean, you can't teach anybody to sing the soul.
Right, she got that from church, right?
When Mary J. Blige she actually came along. If you listen to her from the beginning stages, and now as far as technical, she's got better technical.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
She got way better technical.
Well, she's 52 years old now, so it's like the more you keep, like how you said a few weeks ago,
That's
with
20 years, 20 years singing.
Right, so and like you said a few years ago, like a lot of the artists that never really got on, but they still are good. They're even to the point right now that they're so good, even though they're not on, but they still kept honing their craft. They're so good right now. They're way better than the artists that's on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Word. Yeah, Sim, you was talking about the that 98 was the debut, the summer debut. Yeah. Anybody have any questions here? Ask me. You know, please ask. Feel free. Let me know. Today I could be past here a little bit 8. If you guys we get it going, we could go past 8 and shit like that. You know what I mean? And you guys could tire me out. But let me make a point here because you're here. Right? I'm asking rhetorical questions. I'm going to answer them, right? But what is our goal? You know, like we have to think about what is our goal creatively when we make art stuff and we have this knowledge. This is important though. This is something that you have built on, that's something that is important to you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I see you as a sincere artist and stuff. You know, so it's important to think like, what is it that we want to express? What is it that we learn? What is it that we want to do with this? You know what I'm saying? And I say this though, like I think the brothers was trying to get it to you, and I'm gonna say it the way I see it, and now I have seen it. I think people try to get this knowledge though to give them validation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see that.
To give their bars some validation and shit like that. I mean, it doesn't work though. It doesn't work. You know, it doesn't work with me because I'm writing about all this stuff. You understand? Right? So you're not gonna throw some shit out there that I know is just you saying shit that you just heard,
right? And
it doesn't really mean anything. It's just, you know,
you can tell. Especially you can tell
right.
when somebody's
but
really.
A lot of people don't know the work that I go through. So like, if somebody is saying rhymes that are 5% based, that are keeping some knowledge and shit, I have no problem with that. But if I'm gonna write about them in my books and put them in that section, listen, these are 5% MCs, in my books. I do one book every year where I put everything, all the music that came out that year, right?
Really?
These books are huge. These books are huge. This,
I don't even know what I'm saying.
the real of 2022 is my latest book.
could. I covered everything that I could get my hands on, and I thought it was worth it. Because there's some albums I'm not writing about shit that's fucking you know what I'm saying? But what I consider the best music, this is over 560 albums that are analyzed, reviewed in this. The book is over 460 pages. It's huge. You know what I'm saying? It's some of my biggest book yet. And I put them in brackets. You can't really bracket someone, but people go into many brackets. This guy like Raekwon would be a crime rhyme street lyricist, right?
Mhm.
But he also would be, because he's so talented, you can say he's an MC's MC. So I have many categories, but I just do it so people get an idea of what they're looking for, right? But I have a category of 5%. The people I put on there, I actually had to go talk to them. I had to go, yo, guy, you deal with this now? It's like, you deal with this? How you deal with this? You know what I mean? And I inspect them, I talk to them, you know what I mean? So it's okay. There's brothers that I know that are really dope. They're influenced by us, but they don't really deal with it like that. And it's fine. Because they're cool. You deal with this the way you're going to deal with it, right? But what I'm saying to you, right, is what's more important, though, is that you make sure you have a theme of your reality. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
A theme of your reality. I did this album with King Kamal, King Kamal. And I have been writing about music since 1994. Okay? I have never made songs until I was asked to a few years ago. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I was like, you
Just be on the song, and I was doing poetry on the song and spoken word, shit like that, right? And it was I made a relationship with Prince Power. You know, Prince Power was the first Puerto Rican ever that I seen. You know what I'm saying? So he's like one of the greats. You know? He's dope. He made a comeback. He made that comeback. We became friends. I covered him and everything like that. And he started collecting all the leftovers. Because the whites that were gentrifying the areas of Bushwick where he was at the time, they would call him Puerto Ricans, leftovers.
Wow.
He got, he was tight. So he said, you know what, we're the leftovers. So our collective artists, poets, writers, MCs, we make this music and we make these things as a collective against anti-gentrification. So as a collective, right? I'm part of many cliques. You hear a lot. I'm part of a lot of shit. I'm part of a lot of shit. But he's the first one to get me on a song, like really give me a song. The first song that ever came out with me though wasn't him. It was P.E.A.C.E and Sunez Allah. So they had to do a song building on the mountain. Right? On the last album, they made an album.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna
P.E.A.C.E and Sunez Allah. But I did a song with Kamal, and it was kind of rhyming. It came out dope, and I loved it. And the guy was like, "Yo, I got tracks. I'll get you tracks. I'll pick it up, do it." And he said, "I said, yo." After a while, I was like, "All right, let's try it." You know what I'm saying? And it was a totally different experience in writing. I've been able to write anything I wanted. You know what I'm saying? I made books about everything. I made music. I made books about the teachings I teach here.
Wow.
Right? Everything. Right? And that's not mandatory to the class, though. You know what I'm saying? So you're not missing shit if you didn't get that book. You know what I'm saying? Right? But I would never do that. Where like I would keep things only in the book. This is not a college professor where I'm like making you charging you $80 for a textbook. You know what I'm saying? But what I found though is that having to rhyme, having to make actual songs, having to rhyme about things, talk about things that are more intimate than the subjects and the ideas that I cover in all my works, right? It's more personal, right? I realized that the more that you make a song, I know you can relate to this too. The more that you make a song, the more that it's pushing out your own theme, your own persona, what you intend to be, and what you intend to share. It's an extension of it. How far will you be an extension of it? And one of the things about the extension of being a 5% that is an MC is this: how do you know how to make that barrier where it is literally you, but also has this freedom to be creative, right? People like S.E.Knack, that's one of the gods he rhymes. They have complete freedom. They go wild, they go savage on songs, all that kind of shit. But yet you still know. You know what I'm saying? He's a master. He's a master. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying to you, Sam, is that as you think of, look at, it's hard for you to separate the two because you're an artist, you're an embedded artist. You've been doing this a long time. But as you get this knowledge, though, right? Understand that there has to be a persona that develops within you now.
Right.
That says, whatever I put in here that has to do with this knowledge, what is it being put in there for? Is it being put in there to show that I'm a fox and that others can relate to this from to get down with it? In other words, kind of almost like a propaganda piece. Let's keep it real. Like, yo, if you think this is dope, it's partly because, yo, I'm representing this. It's real. But also, what parts of this knowledge do you want to share with everybody that you think people want to know and they can really learn in this type of vehicle of creation? Things to think about. You know what I'm saying? Especially at the age that we're at now, that we're older, we make music, we can be more cerebral with it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Let me look through some of these comments. All right, I see the questions soon. Yeah. He's got it. He's got it. Sam, you said, how do you see the wisdom degree in our knowledge to knowledge cipher, particularly Yakub's grafted devil? You know what's crazy? No one ever asks me about the wisdom degree. In student enrollment, though. You know? Let's see if I had a note here. On my set of 120 lessons, I like to write notes. You know what I think about the Yakub's grafted devil? I think the most important part of that degree, that part, the Yakub's grafted devil, asking me about that part. Right? If we're saying Yakub was the father of the devil, he's that black man say, yo, we can actually make something different. And he had different ideas. He saw the separation that was already happening among the people. He decided to take them, those who disagreed, those who had dissatisfaction, and take it to a place to actually make this white man. In other words, to become something anew. Right? So this dissatisfaction, Yakub makes his grafted devil. That's in the teaching. I think the most important thing, if I had to say the thing that comes to mind, though, when I think about that, right, is that the grafting process is a select breeding process. It's for a select idea to be expressed. And the select idea to be expressed, people think it's weak and wicked, devilish thing. That is not the expression. To me, Yakub's grafted devil was to do what? Was to see the separation that was already happening within man. Originally, man separated, man going here, man going up here, man going here, right? There was already conflict because people that spent generations developing different phenotypes. We're not talking about like a vacation, 30 days, come back with a tan. We're talking about generations, right? Where people develop different phenotypes. And as they travel to places, right? Migration 50,000 years ago to America. Migration 20,000 years ago. 16,000 years ago, as the lessons talk about. Many migrations. People with different phenotypes, different arguments, different issues. When we get taught about Yakub, what I notice most is the idea of separation, the idea of extraction. The only way to breed what you need was to extract and separate. To continually separate and set up an experiment that changed the epigenetics of the individual. Epigenetics, though, is the effects on your genetics based on the environment. Okay? People are prone to high blood pressure, for example, right? It's in my family bloodline. I eat really great and healthy, and I still might have a problem because epigenetically you've been altered to do much, much extra to overcome it. but it is something that can be genetically overcome if you just what? Change the diet slowly over the generations. That the genetics of that changes. You see what I'm saying? It's like it could be diabetic family, all of these things, right? For example, diabetes ran in my family line all the time. I've lived a vegan living foods protocol since 1996. Right? Since 1986. I told you there's a lot of shit in this class. Since 1996, that changed my whole genetic structure. I epigenetically changed, right? My oldest daughter knows how to use veganism. She's not vegan. She knows how to use it, right? For her health, for her wealth, right? My youngest, my little one, though, doesn't eat candy. It tastes right to her.
Mhm.
Change.
She's never had sugar like that. She's never had sugar.
So what would you give her for a snack? Like fruit?
Fruit,
Right.
fruit. There's so much.
Right.
We fight over the fruit. You know what I mean?
So you're already changing
Right, it's changing the epigenetic structure.
For you and
You know what I'm saying? Right. You see what I'm saying?
Maybe subconsciously I've been doing that in certain ways. I would tell my little cousins, I would be like, yo, when you want to smoke your weed and you want to get some snacks, instead of some chips or pizza or this and that, go get some grapes with the seeds, or get some walnuts, some raisins. You know what I'm saying? I'll get you trail mix. You need something that you can snack on that's not going to hurt you. You know what I'm saying? Because people don't think, okay, you got $5, you want to go get these food.
You know, everything is about development and habit. If you pick a good habit, you develop, right? Some people have teas, and teas are very good for you, right? But then what they'll do is they'll put a ton of sugar in the tea.
Right.
Right? So you take your time. You say, start putting no sugar in the tea. That's just less sugar. No sugar in the tea. You know what I'm saying? It tastes horrible. So then you know what you do? Right? You slowly, gradually go through it. You gradually go through it. So what you do is, most drink tea, they oversteep. You know what I mean?
You said oversleep.
They oversteep. When you steep the tea, they make it, they leave the thing in there for like 10 minutes and stuff, and it's dark as hell, and it's very bitter. Because they put so much sweetener in it, so they don't really taste that bitterness like that. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of tea can be steeped very quickly. You know what I'm saying? Right? I say you learn how to steep your tea. You steep it very quickly. You know what I'm saying? Now, it's not so strong, but now you're tasting the quality of it. Now you say, this leaf tastes different. But now you're not so sure. You try a different tea. You go from green tea, you flip it, go to oolong tea. Oolong tea is usually what they give you in the Chinese restaurant. They usually give you oolong tea, right? Oolong tea, right? Then you try a different tea. Like a Native American, try to get a tea or the Wachusa tea. You know what I mean? Try these different teas, chamomile teas, very different, right? You try these different teas without the sugar and stuff, and then you start to get a palate for it. You know what I'm saying? And now you say, listen, I like sweet. I want to actually taste the actual tea. Now you have to taste it. Everything is about train about. You know what I'm saying? A lot of stuff that I eat, a lot of stuff that I do, never was a good, fun idea. You see what I'm saying? But I do this, right? And it was a simple thing. But shit, I came from a neighborhood where they didn't have the knowledge of self. Things were God. You know what I'm saying? Right? When I was a kid, the God bodies was like the other gang somewhere else. I don't even know where it was. So I was like, I'm behind. I gotta catch up. You know what I'm saying? This is how you catch up. Going back to the grafted devil thing, this whole grafted thing is like for a particular like when you graft a plant, which is different, you're mixing certain things to allow that crop to grow right. Doesn't always mean a negative term, grafted. You know what I'm saying? Usually positive in many ways, right? So when we look at it in this way, this grafting was for a particular purpose, but it wasn't to make something to be something. It was to show something to us. It was to see aspects of ourselves outside of ourselves. Just like when you write something, you are learning about yourself. Like for example, you go back to a song, you go a long time, you say, listen, it tells you, many people might not say it, right? You might have wrote a love song. When you read it, you go back to it years later, you're like, yo, a lot of people don't understand the mindset that I was in at that time. Now it's showing you the growth from that moment now. Maybe not even in songwriting, let's not even think about just that. But you as a person. You know what I'm saying? You as a person. You're still like, yeah, I would never write it that way. You know what I'm saying? I would never write that. This is why I tell you when you write your journals, keep them. You know what I'm saying? Keep them. See what it was to write down things, your ideas back then.
Let me ask you something. So you looking at the grafted devil as a reflection of ourselves.
Everything. Yakub didn't do this. That he didn't do it to make people the rule and say, hey, look, I made this. He made this literally to show us something. See? To show the reality of ourselves outside of us. In other words, the worst that you could be, though, I will show you what that could be.
Yeah, I get it.
You see?
Because I see what they do and the things that they do for nothing sometimes. And I'm like, do they come from us? If they come from us, if they from inside of us, that's inside of us.
But now it's like the old Confucius saying, right? You know, Confucius, he had this student that was with him. He had a student, the student saw some other teacher yell at him. Just, he said, oh, that guy knows how to teach. Man, he told him everything he's doing wrong. And he said, you know what? I hope that I'm such a great teacher one day that I have time to tell you what you're doing wrong and not myself. You know what you're saying was like, I build on myself. I don't have time to see everything else that's going wrong. And Confucius teachings were always based on seeing yourself. If you see something negative in someone else, that's you. Because you're noticing that shit first. You know what I'm saying? You see somebody say, yeah, it's right. Just conscious about your shit right now. Good kinds about your shit. It got nothing to do with it. You know what I'm saying?
It's a term called, I think it's transference.
A lot of it is projection.
Projection.
That's the term. And to me, Yakub's grafted devil, the sole purpose was to see ourselves outside of ourselves. Right? And when you think of things like that, that's really what most creation is doing.
Right.
You know, when you create, that's what you're doing. You know, when you create things, you're seeing parts of yourself what you think is the best part, what you really want to share outside of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You look back and say, listen, yeah, you know, that's what I was thinking. You know, and it has an impact on everyone else. It'll be showing people other things too. You know what I'm saying? I answered that extremely philosophically. I don't know if I got to the point of what you were asking me, Sim, but I definitely riffed off that. You know what I mean? But Sim built his righteous name. All right, let me know what's this question Infinite Mind has. Sim, you said if you said Infinite Mind, you said outside of the gimmick as a music journalist, what do you think about Narwhal, the human? What I think about Narwhal? Yeah, you know, I don't like it. I don't like what he does. I don't like gimmicks. You know what I'm saying? Um, I think that I don't like that he gets credit for doing research about gimmicky shit. Like, you know, he'll find out that you used to wear underoos, you know, when you were 7 years old and shit. Like something I don't really respect it like that. You know what I'm saying? Um, because of that, though, he does show he has the talent to be a journalist. Me as a journalist, man, I just have the urge to disrespect it at any moment. You know what I'm saying? Because there's not that much time to get to interview a lot of the great artists that he interviewed, and he wasted the shit. That when I watch it, I just watch him wasting the time. And what I find, especially this is the white journalists in general, especially when they get goofy like that. This is our music about what we went through, about what we go through. And then we have to make it about our lives that are not always, usually not great. And then we have to actually make it in such a way where everyone that doesn't really experience this shit is going to go by it. I don't realize how difficult that is to do. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that I saw all types of music, and I don't think anything is as difficult as selling a hip hop song that is real. You know what I'm saying? People sell other things, they can find the beauty in it though, because there's universal themes of love and of happiness and things like that, right? Like, let's say like most Caribbean genres, like really all bad dance music. You know what I'm saying? No matter how deep salsa gets and stuff, it's essentially a dance music. You know how jazz and right? They're all dance music. They all originate as dance music. Um, Hip hop evolved not into a dance music. You know what I'm saying? It's not really a dance music at its peak or what it could be. So you're selling something that isn't really a dance. That's why it reverts so horribly now, because that's bringing it back to a dance music is horrendous reversal. But nah, you know, and then all that shit, and he just wasted time. You know, wasted time of that person. You know, to ask him stupid shit and everything.
These things act stupid.
I can never respect it. You know what I'm saying? Never. I don't care. You know, I think research is overrated though. Like you went to research and you bring them a vinyl of something. I don't respect that. You know, and this is real, most white consumers of hip hop are exceptional collectors. They're exceptional collectors, and people forget though, collecting is really based on how much money you have, how well you collect. You know, we always respect digging in the crates, get the records and shit like that. But trust me, the number one skill in collecting is how much money you got. I don't care how it goes. You know what I'm saying? If you got enough money though, you can collect everything. You know? I've been with the biggest studios I've ever been with, hip hop, still are owned by white people. That's never not been the case. You know? Not the best music, but
Right.
nice as shit. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. Infinite Mind get me angry over here. Yeah, he get me angry. This guy was interviewing a lot of greats, a lot of legends, asking them stupid questions, right? Interviewing Nas and asking stupid shit about. Well, he brought out the record, "Good Times," Dynamite. You know what I'm saying? And that's a crate. Who has that record? But it's stupid shit because you're trying to be funny style. You know what I mean?
That's some shit you would.
Yeah. And what did it lead to? Like, what does the work that you do lead to?
Right.
It led to, I don't know if you saw the other day, Mano almost beat the shit out of that black kid, that's some YouTuber that has no real gift of interviewing shit. And then he was getting slick with him, asking about his chain. Then he got real disrespectful and he asks Mano, he goes, well, what happens if I would beat the shit out of you for that chain? And even before you could finish that, you know, grab him by the neck. You know what I mean? But why would you go through all that? There's a lot of MCs and rappers I don't like. I'm not trying to go interview.
Right.
I don't want to talk. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to talk. But it leads to that. You know, the goofball antics though. You know, that kid trended in places I saw him. So that means that he trended somewhere where he never was. Because I saw him.
Yeah,
Right?
That's what.
Right. He trended where I saw him. So that means he went places that he never been before. Right? By doing some goofball, disrespectful shit. So every time, like people do it, goofball things in the nature, spirit of whatever, it wastes to me the artist's time. They don't have that much time to talk and really talk about the music and stuff. And then it leads to other people doing more goofball shit because that's the way you get on. You know, just like one bad song leads to another. Though. You know what I'm saying? If she took off her bra on this one, she'll take off the bra on the next one in the panty. What do we get? Right? Isn't that the way it goes? You know what I'm saying? Right, that's the way it goes. You know what I'm saying? So fuck that shit. You know? You said so many people say wisdom is wise words, ways, and actions, but should it be more like actions since wisdom is the application of knowledge? Very interesting. All right, supreme mathematics. One is knowledge, the actual truth, information that is right and exact, or that creative idea that spawns, right? It's in the mind. Then wisdom is number two, right? Many in our nation say wisdom is wise words and actions, right? Wise ways, actions, right? But really, wisdom is the using of that knowledge. It is a test of the usefulness of that knowledge. It is an application of that knowledge. And then it leads to three, understanding. In other words, you have a unique insight to that knowledge that is special to you. What I call a revelation of purpose. Right? That revelation of purpose is three. It happens in the mind. One, two, three. These are activities of the mind. And it leads to culture. Four. Now you're going outside of yourself. Your understanding is now being lived out. Everything that you live is your culture. Everything. See, in culture, they say culture is defined mainly as the products of a people, right? It's food. We define it though as the reality of your entire life. Your entire life is your culture. Because everything you do is worthwhile and based on a truth that you've decided to learn of, wisdom, use it, and come to an understanding that is special to you, your own revelation of purpose. And that becomes what? Your culture. So it's 1, 2, 3, inner, 4, 5, 6, outer. Your culture lived. It is based on your understanding. And it has what? It has a certain power. It extends itself. It's out there now. Your way of life, whatever you live, it becomes what the people see, and it affects everyone. Whether it is the work of art or it's just you being you, that has power. It has influence. It extends. It goes outward, and it brings about an equality, a certain state of being that is what? An elevated state, right? A proper position of all this knowledge that you first got. And equality. It's a new position. You would leave that out. That's equality. 6. And then what happens after that is the fruit. 7 is God. You don't become God again and again, but you reaffirm it. So it is what? A reaffirmation of rejuvenation. You have reaffirmed yourself again by living this out. 7. And now you build and destroy. In other words, you build, you change the reality of the cipher, and it's no longer the same. So that is destroyed. What was once there is destroyed because you have built anew. That's 8. And now you reach born, elevated fulfillment. You have born something, you have completed it. It has what? Reached this elevated fulfillment. Right? That's born. You see, when I said we use mathematics and look back on what we have done as the order of all things in the universe, that's what I meant. So we look back on the things that we did, and we look back and say, wait a minute, I never really did the knowledge problem. I didn't deal with enough real true facts. You see? I didn't spend enough time with it to come up to my own understanding. So maybe wisdom is the problem. I did not live with this. I did not experience it. I did not test this knowledge. So I used it poorly. You see what I'm saying? This is why we use supreme mathematics. This is why we live supreme mathematics.
Cipher after born.
Born is after, cipher is after born, right? If you count from 1 to 9, then what happens? Knowledge add on a cipher, right? What happens again? More knowledge adds on to the cipher, and we continue this process. See? And this process goes continuous. That's why when we focus on certain principles every day, that's why we say, what's today's mathematics, right? What's today's date?
The second.
Right? So today's mathematics is wisdom. It's 2. It doesn't mean that we do everything like wisdom. It's not like that. It doesn't mean it's a theme like Sesame Street.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It means that we focus on that principle. You see? But the truth is that everything is just what? Everything is happening 1, 0. Everything. That whole process I said happens just like that. You see? when we look back on time and how things were done, it happened like this. Each part. You know what I'm saying? Each part. Right? But we're focusing on these things when we look back. See? It's not like we could open the door like that, right? We could say, I did the knowledge to the doorknob, and I wisdom that if I turn it, right? You realize this knowledge that if I turn this doorknob, something will happen to the door. You know what I mean? It'll activate something. Right? And I realize that my understanding says that if I pull along with turning, then I understand that this door will be useful for something, and I open it. And I live a culture where I actually use the door walking in. That's my understanding. So I walk through the door, and now I have the power to go into two different places. You see? So it puts me in the position of what? I have a place. And that reaffirms that I'm God in every single place I'm in. And so I can build here, I can change the reality there, but I have the opportunity, right? Because of that. I what? I'm born a new way of doing it. Right? But we don't do that no matter. Every time we think. But so we look back and we look at the components of those, saying, how do we look forward with mathematics? And then we say, listen, what are the things missing and what I need to do? See? How do I get that knowledge though? And what will I do with that knowledge? And then how will I get an understanding of that knowledge that's special to what I'm doing? See? So this is the process of using supreme mathematics as a daily. Yeah, provocative questioning and things like that. Yeah, But yeah, no, you know what though? You guys rhyme and stuff, and you get to hate whack rappers. So I get to hate whack journalists. I get to hate that. I'm saying. I like the way you saying it, provocative questioning. Yeah, I won't give you I won't let you hear the end of it though. If I ever see you get interviewed by Nardwar or something like that, yeah, right? Shit. I'll probably bring you like an old, an old Che Guevara poster or something. I don't know. Yes, Sim, you said all the math is manifested at once and we focus on a particular degree, similar to how light can be seen in fractions via colors. That's a great way of explaining that. As usual, the God is on point. Malik says wisdom is right discernment, the where vehicle knowledge is transmitted, articulate thought, mission of all being born to my physical born day. Okay, wait, today's your born day, Malik? If it is, happy born day, God. But so on a day, we always know how you see today's mathematics. Right? So I see today's wisdom. Like, but we'll define it, but then we'll see how we see it. Okay? And that's why. But nah, I mean collectors. No, but you said collectors go to thrift. The biggest collectors go to thrift shops. I mean collection of most things. You know what I'm saying? The most things, the most expensive things, the most. You know so it always ends up with the people with the most money. They get the access, find it. They don't have to go to the thrift shops. They find and buy from the person that bought all of the stuff from the thrift shops. Right? Be surprised. The biggest hip hop collections are not from people that they're grinding. They're people out there just purchasing everything.
That was my co-host to my show I'm starting next week calling me, man. I wanted to remind you, man, I gotta have you on '07 come through and build on the show, man, because it's a talk show. It's like, how most radio shows play music but then talk? We're based on talk that plays a little music. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely gotta have you on '07 come down, man.
That's peace, yeah. That's my brother, officer.
I know he the one that told me that you was his brother. I was like, okay. He said, Sunez is my brother.
You don't do for self visuals. I hate you be hitting me up with stuff I did not know. I did not know that he. Wow. How do I feel about the passing of Wayne Shorter? I didn't know that Wayne Shorter was. Yeah, I didn't know he passed away
When did he pass away?
today.
I didn't even know that either.
Wow.
Wayne Shorter is one of the great saxophonists, but he's to me he's more greater as a composer, and he came up as one of the, you know, Miles Davis is one of not just a legend for his compositions or his playing, but he was so great at putting it down.
Mm.
And his quintet, his groups,
You're right about that.
they always had legends. So when you know, like Kind of Blue had John Coltrane on it before he was Coltrane. You know what I'm saying? Right? Bill Evans, Cannonball Adderley, all these guys. But then he goes to the next one, and he's got Wayne Shorter. He's got, what's his name? But he's got Herbie Hancock. You know what I'm saying? All these guys, right? Ron Carter. Was Ron Carter there? No, I don't think Ron Carter. But legends. You know, but they started to become great through Miles Davis signed it, you know.
He was their mentor.
In many ways, yeah. I don't think he would define it that way.
Right.
You know, these guys are great from the get-go. Great, but Wayne Shorter really great composer. I'm not gonna say avant-garde, but a lot of challenging material that is really dope. So some albums are great. His session work as a sideman is great. Like, you know, he was really great. You know, had a lot of Wayne Shorter records. A lot of Wayne Shorter records. Very dope. That's how I feel about that.
You ever heard of a jazz pianist named John Miller?
John Miller, no, I'm not.
That's my uncle. My father used to play his records for him. I used to hear stuff on the radio because my father used to play jazz station on time. Like, that's your uncle.
Oh, that's dope.
I remember always trying to please on my lives. People know who he is. That's really into jazz because he plays the people. My music from my life.
Sure, yeah. You never know. There's always somebody in music. You know what I'm saying? Look, if John Miller was a heavy session player, I just gotta look at records.
Right.
I don't know who's no heavy player. My best knowledge, like liner note knowledge, because I have a big jazz collection. Most of where I memorized everything was really the 50s. You know what I mean? That was my favorite. So but
I think he probably was doing his thing in the 50s or whatever because my pops was born in 1829, and I think that's the number. So it's
John Miller on piano.
I was watching
the basketball player.
Yeah.
Abdul Mahmoud Abdul Rauf.
Yeah, he didn't use biological father, so he had it just so happened that his father, I think it was his father, somebody on his father's side was a 58th grader. So it's funny how like their talents actually do.
Yeah, it's in the family. Yeah, it's in the family. Like I haven't seen his son. Wow. Everybody told me he draw real well. Now music is my life, but drawing is my first love. He's saying son is going to draw real well. And my brother from my father's side told me I could draw from my father. That's music side was from my father because his brothers. I should definitely love him. Definitely. Like you see the boy that say he had Jason.
Or now let's see
So if he's not LL, he's a dog. This, I don't know why I always was good with ladies. And I always loved music since I was a kid. I didn't know this man was my father until I was a grown man. But I've always been into women. Women always liked me, and I always loved music. And I found out this man had a 50 month. He said that LL would send him money from time to time, but LL won't claim him. LL, he said LL blocked him on every day. Almost money no more on LL, because he trying to put it on it. Was like, you know, people like at the end of the day, like for you not to clean your sleep, I think that's the worst part of the people. You can never clean yourself as God. You know what I'm saying? Because how do you not clean with God? You can't birth with God. You know what I'm saying? And then you don't clean with God.
I'll say this though, we don't always know the whole story.
Right.
So I'll say with that. You know. Who's asking me something here? Sim, you said doing knowledge incurs an action which shows and proves how knowledge and wisdom are intrinsically intertwined. Indeed. King, you asked me, couldn't someone describe wisdom as making an impact on the lives of all those who you interact with by manifesting your knowledge actions that sometimes speak louder than words? Um, for me, wisdom to me mostly is in the internal aspect of the use of knowledge. And yet we could say that with culture as well. You know what I'm saying? Because people are seeing your culture, seeing your way of life. You know what I'm saying? Um, if your way of life is not right, they're not seeing a culture, they're seeing a misunderstanding being lived out, you know? But to me, wisdom is a very internal process. You know, it's a process of experience with the knowledge, a testing of the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? The Musa, yeah, we built on this before, Malik. The Musa is not Moses. Is not Moses. The Moses in the Bible is not the Musa in the wisdom degree. Okay. The Musa translates to Moses, but Musa is the title. Okay. It's a title of the great civilizer, and it's something that's also in the text of the Egyptian mystery school system. Okay. I don't know if you ever heard about it.
Yeah.
So the Egyptian mystery school system, they had many teachers, and that would be the title of Musa, right? And that's what's being referred to in wisdom degree and wonderful. You get up to that, you know. It talks about a man having to go civilize the devil that has been exiled.
Mm.
So he had to be taught how to actually engage and be part of society.
How to wash and clean.
Right, because he was a savage. He got exiled immediately for doing devilish. Okay? That's what the degrees talk about, you know. And I said, like a lot of the ancient texts, a lot of the ancient indigenous peoples and throughout the lands have similar stories about a man made of red clay being exiled. You know? In the degrees, it talks about Musa going to civilize them after their exile to allow them to come back. You know?
Does that have any correlation with a lot of like the Sphinx, Egypt having the head over another animal?
No, that's different. That's different. You know? It's a good question, though, as far as that goes. You know? But I've never seen that connection, or never heard it suggested.
Or I mean, like to like overcome our own animalistic nature.
It depends. You know, I would have to go through that because every single animal representation in ancient Kemet means something. You know what I'm saying? Um, it's also said that the actual representation of the Sphinx is actually much older than everything else that's there. You know? So I would have to refresh myself on what people thought about that to see where they get. It's a good question. Yeah. I certainly have to marry. I don't want to do that. You know. For yourself, is that wisdom counters impulsive behavior. Always do knowledge first before you act on it. All right. Kizar, you said I always view wisdom as that which we learn to experience, and thereby we speak on it.
We haven't lived, then we know it. I see that. Do not disagree with that. You said wisdom is experience, knowledge. Harmony, peace. You said wisdom is built upon knowledge. You can be both wise and knowledgeable, but you can't be wise without. I agree. Sim, you said Musa in Arabic means saved by water. Saved by water. That's right. That's right. It definitely has that metaphor there. The metaphor definitely extends to being civilized and saved by water. I said a lot. Do you have any questions about anything?
That was sweet. So,
I know you said a whole
not moving on. I come back, I will have some questions.
Yeah, I got some stuff I gotta write. I got some got some things on my phone, right, that I never fully understood that I gotta write down and come up. Yeah.
That's not a problem.
Definitely, my show was supposed to start on Thursday from 7 to 8:30, but I know that you come from 6 to 8, so my show is on Tuesday from 7. I wanted to make sure I got you when I can.
That's peace. That's peace.
So my co-host just told me I'm at law school right now. I don't
All right.
want to be serious about serious.
Okay. Yeah, Malik, yeah, you're kind of asking the same question twice in a different way. Uh, that's not, no, that's not Moses, though. Yeah, that's not Moses. That's not, you know. Okay.
So when you teach like hip hop and things referring to like music and the arts,
Yeah.
that'll be like outside of here.
Um, I teach what I can anywhere, but
You teach martial arts?
yeah, I've been a martial artist for as long as I've been teaching here.
Wow.
Martial arts I don't teach here though.
You don't teach here.
No,
But
no.
do you teach?
Select students, yeah, select students. Yeah. Select students. Um, because the martial artist takes more time and more discipline in certain areas though, and my time,
Right.
that I charge.
Right.
It's if you compare it to other schools and stuff, it's a freebie. You know what I'm saying?
How much you charge?
We build about that.
Okay, we're good about that.
You know? But since I'm giving you the knowledge, though, you gotta make more headway in this knowledge. Though.
Right.
But that was a tradition that was part of the nation. A lot of the guys were martial artists, so they were young. They were doing karate and things like that, and it was part of it. You know, so when I got knowledge, it was part of the culture. You know, so like the select cipher that I was around. So it was the gods that brought me to my C-gun master teacher, and my C-gun is not. He's not Chinese. Like he's a Black American.
Is that another way of saying like I'm sensei? Siva?
Right. Sigung means master teacher.
Master teacher.
Yeah. No, this is Chinese kung fu. You know? It's not Japanese. When say sensei. We don't deal with belts and all that kind of shit. But
the way we learn to do tournaments and shit like that. So we learn to just fight. You know?
Yeah, they said you was a dangerous man. I said I think it was mentally and physically.
Well, yeah. But yeah, I do teach that. You know, 'cause, again, select students. You know, we have time permits and stuff like that. Right. It's something that takes a lot of time, takes a lot of energy and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And anyone could be a great martial artist. Anyone. So anyway, you know?
If you're willing to discipline himself, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right, how do you become well read?
Studying.
You just gotta read. To read a lot of books. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I'm in the middle of that. I'm just
Yeah,
trying to keep up. I'll be like,
I got a lot of books in my crib that I haven't fully read all of them yet.
But everything, I'll give you some ideas about like how to do it. How to do anything really well is you have to have you have select goals. And then as you attempt the goals, you get a kind of a gauge. And then you start to gauge what is stopping it, what is stopping the consistency. You know? But at some point, right? As you learn and you get your consistency gets stopped, it gets stifled. Then there comes that moment though where you don't give a fuck about anyone or anything that is in the way of you doing that. You see? And then it gets done. See, I train also so effortlessly that I easily could wake up at 3 a.m. to train.
Yeah, when you told me
I
that
have
you
to.
wake up at 3, right?
Right? I have to. So when I have to wake up at 3, wake up at 4, 5, whatever it is, whatever time that I need to wake up, you know what I'm saying? And it's there, you know what I'm saying? The same thing with the reading. You know, reading is a little bit more difficult actually, because you can't read when you're sleepy. Most people sleep when they read. You know what I'm saying? They don't have the strength, the stamina. And then they read slower and slower. The better you read is the faster you read.
Right, and I learned.
So you want to keep fast, but the minute you forget a day or two, it slows down again.
Right.
Out of all the skills that I've developed in my life, though, reading is probably the skill that fluctuates the most. And it fluctuates by the type of book you read, right? Like I said, when you read Gigantic Diop's books, you're reading that slow. You know, you're like, yo, I was here like a whole hour and I read 10 pages. But when it's Diop, it's like, all right, that was good. You read other books though, like let's say Mahmoud Abdul, right? I have his autobiography. I told you I get a lot of books.
All right.
I have his autobiography because he made the documentary, but also has the autobiography. Books like that, you know, they're interesting, so you read them fast.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And other books, you don't read them so fast. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the only way that you read fast though is if you continue to read.
Right.
You know? But you have to have that guide. You have to also know what the purpose is for and what the benefits are. You know, a person like you reads though, it can only benefit you.
Right. That's
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, one of the greatest MCs ever is Nas, right? Did you
Right.
ever listen to his interviews? He continually talks and mentions books that he's reading. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Everybody was sharing clips from the interview that he did where he was talking about like gave props to MC Shan and shit like that. And he was on a late night talk show the night before he did the MSG, right?
Okay, so this was recently.
Yeah.
Okay, so I haven't really heard
Right.
Nas talk about books that he read.
Watch the interviews that he gives. He mentions reading. I read about this. I read about that. Constantly reading. Freddie Fox, right? I don't know if you ever heard Freddie Fox.
Yeah, fun.
He was a bodyguard for Nas. Then he became an MC. He wasn't, you know what I mean? He wasn't an MC like that person. He became a dope MC. And they asked him, you know, you used to bodyguard Nas, and now tell me about him stuff. He said, you know what? When you used to go to his house though, there were books laying everywhere.
That's
Open
awesome.
everywhere.
Well, if you listen
Right?
to that, if you look at him, if you look at Nas from when he was a kid, you can tell he read everything. You can listen to the way he rhymes because his conversation is different from his rap.
Like you wouldn't think he was such an intelligent man
Right.
by the way he talked sometimes.
Right.
You would think you could tell his intelligence by the way he rapped, but because a lot of times in interviews, it's
In the
not
old
really-
interviews.
Yeah,
Remember,
okay.
old interviews are different though. Now, you know, in the 90s though, journalists and media were the enemy.
Right. They
Yeah,
wasn't really
definitely
trying
was.
to.
There's a lot of guys that
That's why.
interviewed in the 90s that I'm like, yo, this guy was horrible back then. And now you want to be good at it? You know what I mean? They also saw media as the enemy, so they didn't really do a good interview a lot of times. You know what I mean? Most of Nas interviews, he was high as hell. He
Yeah,
was like almost dysfunctional.
I'll be honest with you, Sunez.
You know?
I didn't really like his interviews though.
No,
Like,
they,
my
yeah.
favorite rapper is so ignorant in these interviews.
Yeah.
Like you said, the media was the enemy at the
Yeah,
time. and
so
wasn't
they didn't really
promoting
like go there thinking like, I'm only here to promote the record and stuff like that. I don't think that you're gonna actually say anything. And mind you, this is the 90s, and you gotta understand that the most deepest MCs before that, especially probably have to put Chuck D at the top of the list here, were being crucified by the media.
Yeah.
So Chuck D was the most articulate in interviews and giving a lot of stuff, and yet his words were being twisted, he was being misquoted. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of guys back then, they didn't know how to do the journalism very well, so they were misquoting sometimes and stuff, fixing quotes. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it was getting into trouble and stuff. So they weren't great interviews back then, but so the artists also decided not to be a great interview. You know what I'm saying? And they weren't really coached and shit. You know, when you watch, like, depending on the field you're in, people are actually coached on how to do interviews.
Right, like the Motown era, they was
Right.
coached.
They were coached. Like they were,
room.
right. They were coaching like you're gonna present yourself this certain way. You know what I'm saying? You know how to do it though. You know? And so it worked. They knew what to say and everything. You never had to say nothing wrong because you didn't veer off the path. You know what I'm saying? That was given. But now with rap though, they weren't coached. And were they gonna take coaching? Yeah, they weren't gonna take any coaching either. So it wasn't gonna, you know. But when you look at Nas now, like he's, you know, his interviews are very articulate.
Yeah, his interviews has been very. I think his interviews were kind of more articulate since after his battle with Jay, and I started seeing him have a lot of sit downs. And you know, when his mother passed and his baby mom
I
did
think
what she
so,
did,
yeah.
I think he started to sit back and be on some other stuff because what I learned about Nas.
That was his second wave, yeah.
Right.
So he took it more serious. Yeah.
Because I heard about this, but then when I seen this documentary, Thomas Zillmatic, and I seen it was true that they did drop out in the 8th and 9th grade, him and his brother. And that's because his father said, you don't got to go to school. You do what you want to do. You can find your own way. You gotta listen to the white man tell you what to do and what to be.
Mm-hmm.
You can be who you need to be. Just find your way and stick with it. So him and Jungle dropped out, and his mother went ballistic. They said his mother went ballistic, flipped out. But he read everything under the sun. Even though he wasn't going to school, he was reading everything under the sun. He was getting knowledge of himself. He was reading Hamlet. He was reading Macbeth. Everything. Why you think Illmatic sounded the way it sounded at 19, from 14 to 19 years old?
Yeah.
Because he wasn't in school. He was just reading everything. He had the 120.
Harmony, you asked for book recommendations. Did you got the drive though, right? It's about 6,000 in there. Right? It had to be at least 6,000 in there.
You got over 6,000 books?
No, I'm saying my drive collection.
I was about to say.
My drive. I have a drive of digital books.
Okay, did
My
you?
collection is over 6,000.
Wow.
I will tell you this though, that I started to write down a list of the books I read every year since 2003, and I only read 26. Don't forget, I only read 26 in 2003, right? And I was mortified. I was like, I'm teaching this class and I'm not reading enough. And so I said, I'm going to read 52 books every year because there's 52 weeks, and I have read at least 52 books a year since 2004.
Oh man, I gotta step my game up.
Right?
Now I gotta step my game up because I haven't read that many books. And I read a lot of things, and I read, but
Use calendars, use everything. Write down how many pages you read every day.
Right.
It doesn't matter if it's embarrassing, though. Because look, if your calendar of activities doesn't have massive failures on them, then you're not really building. You know what I'm saying? Like, in my calendar, it says every day I have to read 100 pages, though. I fail many times. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, like, when you read, you'll get tired. I'll look at that calendar and say, I didn't reach the goal that time. You know what I'm saying?
So I don't have the, if I have the time, I'm gonna keep going. You see what I'm saying? So like you have to make goals for yourself, and it's okay if you fail with the goal. If you say, look, I'm gonna read 5 pages every day, that's a kind of a weak goal. Because then on the days when you have time to read, you'll only read 5.
You only read
and then
5,
you're gonna
Push
go,
yourself.
and then you're gonna finish the last 5 episodes of this Netflix joint. You know what I'm saying? Right? So you have to have high goals. You have to have the discipline to turn things off.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm learning that now.
Right? You have to have the discipline to turn things off. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, I come from a very, everybody is, but I come from an actual, like, real obsessive TV, film family. You know, so much so that my sister did, you know, television. My brother's an actor. I have a twin brother. He's an actor,
That's cool.
a student of film. You know what I'm saying? So I have access to every app that you can use, like all of them, HBO Max, Hulu, all of them. My brother gives me access to his movie collection that's over like 700 films digitally. So he lives in LA, but I'm still able to watch like most of his collection. You know what I'm saying? So I can be watching shit all the time. And I'd be like, nah, I gotta turn it off. I gotta turn this off.
Yeah,
This is
overbooked.
really dope. I'm watching something. It's never like, oh, TV is whack, film.
Right, you got access
I
to
have
that.
everything.
Right.
There's always something, you know what I'm saying? Let alone all the stuff we can find on YouTube, all the, you know, the rabbit holes that you can go into, right? You have to have the discipline to say, listen, I'm gonna turn this off now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to say, like, yo, I'm gonna do that. You know? And it's the only way to do stuff. Like people want like all these secrets and stuff like that. It's the only way to do stuff is to have that force, you know, to turn that off, to do that, to measure your time and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's the only way. It's the only way. You know, I couldn't have written all this stuff. Like I write a whole bunch of stuff, and I work on multiple books at the same time, writing multiple books at the same time, while I read multiple books.
How many books have you written?
I published 5 of them. I published 5 books. So there's about maybe 4 books I'm working on at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Little by little, you know, when the spirit hits, you know, and then others that they're more like work driven. You know, like the books about music, they just have to get done because there's a lot of music out there, right? But those are done by discipline and not done by anything else. You know what I'm saying? And by doing the reps. You know what I'm saying? Like. You don't get strong by doing 2 push-ups and shit.
Right, you gotta be 40.
Right? Right?
100.
400.
That was like that day or something.
Well, I just started getting back into my calisthenics. So I gotta start. I'm doing my I'm starting off with like a 30-day.
Well, I'll tell you this though. A requisite to even train with me, you're gonna have to do 50 straight.
50 straight. I used to be able to do 60 straight. I used to be able. I fell off crazy, but
In a week you do that.
right, just as soon as I get back on it, right? Yeah, because you know what it is too, Sunez, man. I gotta get back into getting the blood flowing in my body and my mind.
Right.
I wanna, you know, I'm take a hiatus from smoking weed. I ain't gonna lie to you, Sunez. I'm keeping 100, man. Like I told you a few weeks ago, I've been abstinent for a while because I'm, you know what I'm saying, trying to get me a wife. You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to put myself out in this nonsense no more. It's just not working for me. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just, I'm different. And you know, you gotta accept who you are. Like a lot of people haven't come to grips with accepting who they are because they're so busy wanting to be a part of everything else that they ruin themselves and all the opportunity they have to be something great.
Right.
I realized a long time ago that I'm just not a part of the in crowd. Like it's just not me. I gotta make my own. I gotta make my own way, my own fun, my own in crowd as far as me. Whoever choose to want to go with that, but I'm just different, man, and I just choose to remain myself. And once you got to touch it yourself, yeah, because once you got to touch it yourself, then this is where you end up getting 4 years in jail. That's the worst thing you can do is
It's about gauging. You know, we have to gauge our time, see what we want to do, what are the benefits of what we want to do, and slowly do those things. You know what I'm saying? Slowly do those things. You know? Yeah. You know? I think that there's a balance for everything. So like I'm saying, like we're trying to turn off things and stuff like that. I know that there's a worth in watching film, watching television, and watching arts and all these kind of things. You know what I mean? So I gauge them.
You know, I make sure I do all of them. You know what I'm saying? So I don't find it wrong either. You know what I'm saying? I don't find it wrong either. Especially seeing like firsthand how creative it is and how people create with them. You know what I'm saying? Right? With my siblings and stuff, seeing how they use it. You know? But my talents are really with the pen.
Right.
So I gotta read, you know, you gotta read. That's the gym, you know what I'm saying? You gotta
That's
read
the gym.
right.
That's my gym. Yeah.
Most of the people will not read, really like 90% of the stuff I write, they will never read. You know what I'm saying? It won't be shared, you know? But I at least write, every week I write so many things for these books, but at least every week I write at least 10 pages in my journal,
Mhm.
right? At least 10 pages. And by the end of the year, that's 500 pages. You know what I'm saying? That's 500 pages.
I notice what keeps me interested in reading more now that I'm older is reading out loud. Like when I live by myself, so I'm in my crib.
Right.
And I
But
just start
I'll tell you
reading.
this: get out of the habit, though. It's gross. Don't do that.
Reading out loud.
Don't do that. Don't get out of it. And if I was really mean, I'd tell Harmony not to use audiobooks, though, because you gotta look at the word. You know what I'm saying?
I was
You
just
have to look at
about
the
to
word.
ask you that. Audio.
I know that people want to get the information as fast as they can, so I'm not mad at people that use audiobooks, though. But do not use audiobooks for like real poetry, real great prose. You know, like use it for the shitty books. You know what I mean?
I would
Like,
have to still get the book, even if I listen to the audiobook.
now you gotta see
a
the
person like
word.
me,
You gotta see the word.
I would have to still read the book because when I read a book, I always get words or lines or things to make me, make up rhymes. Like every time I read, I write rhymes.
No, but I'm saying the reason I say don't read out loud, right? You won't read as fast as you could read. The key to reading, though, is not to read slow. People think you read slow to understand everything. No. You have to read with increasing speed. You know what I'm saying? And find ways to take note of the word for later.
I underline it.
Right? That's why the digital books are so key because they have when you read there, you can put your notes inside the book.
Okay.
You could also have dictionaries in there so you can look up a word.
Oh, because
you highlight the word,
that's
it'll give you the definition while you're right there. So it's because some words, they're ruining your flow because you don't know what anything means. You can look it up right there in there. That's why the digital books is a great way to read. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It's mainly the way I read.
So that's like not the audio books, the digital books.
Digital book.
That's like with the e-books and.
Right. So like when you email me, that's what I'll be giving you.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That's a great way to read and stuff like that. People love physical books though, but too many students I've had over these, I'll keep it real with you, especially the young students, they be giving me that excuse that, I like physical books. So they like everything new. They want everything new. But they need books and they don't want to use digital books. So I know I'm being bullshitted, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it's a different way, it's very efficient, you know what I'm saying? But I write everything that I write out there, books, I have to use computers and everything for that. I don't write books on paper. You know what I mean?
You gotta type it.
Because it's like a puzzle piece, you know what I'm saying? So I have to mix and match and shit like that. Can't do that on paper. You know? But journals I still write physically. And Harmony, you said that you read multiple books at once. I think that's the best way to read if you have like a good library because you want to be reading different subjects. I'll give you a way to do it. There are books that you need to learn, and there are books that you want to enjoy, right? What you do in your reading time, try to read the book that you need to read as long as you could go and go as intense as possible. When you lose gas, though, but it's still got time to read, right? And you feel like you still should read more, read the fun book after that. You know what I'm saying? And then you'll read again with high speed. But have that book that you need to read that is educational, have that be the first book you go into. You know what I'm saying? And you give it all your energy. When you reach that breaking point where like, I'm literally not reading anything. Like when you're stuck and you're just not going nowhere.
Yeah.
Switch up.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So even though you spent that whole time, you said this time reading, it wasn't all wasteful, you know? So, and then you realize that the book that you need to read, as you get more into the subject, as you start getting acumen, you start really engaging your mind, that'll extend longer and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And when you start to read like this though, then, you know, you start making, you know, you start taking time from other things so you could read, you know, which is more like my life though, you know, because reading is like the fun part, whereas everything else though is the harder parts, right? The writing, the training, everything is harder, so that's the fun part, you know. But that's how you become a better reader, you know what I mean? You get the easy stuff, you know. And so I never read books without music on. So I never read with hip hop on, because you guys are telling me something, right?
Right.
I'm not listening to you, but I always read to some kind of music though. You know what I'm saying? And if I don't have a good tempo, I get music that has a really good tempo. You know what I'm saying? So I might get with the soul jazz, you know, the organ jazz, you know, get the tempo up.
So
you know, salsa, something that's faster. Like if I want to read at that pace, you know.
Is it instrumental music or is it music with singing?
No, it has singing lyrics. Okay. But it depends. Because sometimes my reading is interrupted most by my own thoughts. So I have to stop and write something. So soul music especially really will interrupt my thoughts, because that makes me creative and makes me write poetry, things like that. I start thinking.
It gives you feeling.
Right. So, you know what I mean? So sometimes I put other stuff, you know what I'm saying? But I have tons of music. I have all types of shit. I have a lot of music, you know what I mean? Like it ain't no, you know, I'm a music writer. I gotta have music, right? I have lots of music, you know what I'm saying? You know? There's no app that can hold the music I have, you know what I mean? They couldn't. They ain't made those yet, you know. Plus, using the app, I add even more music that I don't even have, you know. So, but that's how you do it, though, you know. Okay. You put those pleasurable things together, though, and you're listening to new music, new sounds, right? Which is always important because you always want to open your palette. You know, that's what I meant though about learning different things. The students that do well are the people that open their palette to as many things as they can. They have a diverse palette. This is what sets a lot of white education more than ours. So those kids aren't going to be ball players or anything, but they're playing sports, they're playing this. They're not going to be musicians like us. The point is that they open their palette to all these different things. Because they open their palette to all these different things, there's very little that they fear because they actually have engaged so many things.
Right.
That's the key to the education.
And there's so much other things to pull from.
Right.
So that's like when they say people fear what they don't know.
Right. Because education comes from the Latin root educare.
Pull out?
To draw out that which is within, right? Pull out, really. You're correct, right? If the child is exposed to everything, to a vast amount of things, then that means he can pull out his talents from all of these different vehicles and forms. Because that's all a teacher does. We'll give you a form. You know? You give the student more forms, they can draw out more from it. Their brain expands. You know what I mean? They have a starting point, even in the future when they start new things. Because they're used to it, though. They're more willing to engage in ideas. Hey, man, I'll try that. You know what I'm saying? We always see the negative. With white kids, we always see the negative, though, where they're like, oh, they try every drug, they try everything. We always see that. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that they don't fear going into different places because they've seen this. They have experience, though, with being around people that have done this, done that. So nothing's so new to them. You know what I mean? This changes youth. You know what I'm saying? That have been around a lot of things. You know? And so a young student has to develop their palate heavily. You know what I'm saying? Have them watch things, expose them to news, expose them to different things, all these kind of things. You know? It changes them. Why do you think that when you said the genetics of us doing music and stuff, it's because we have music in the family though, right? Because it's around you and stuff. So it seems more normal. It's not so fearful to express yourself exuberantly in it. You see? Then comes the child that it's just a calling because they're so used to that palette like that. You know? That's the epigenetics, the changing of the gene, the development of the gene because you've done something. Now, what happens if you just do something right and exact around that child all the time? All the time. What happens if you do something right and exact for yourself again and again and
It comes
again?
to habit.
You know what I'm saying? Right? Just like our eating though, right? We don't eat pork though, right? We get rid of all the pork though. We study everything that has pork in the shit and we don't eat it. Right? Chewy candies, glycerin, making sure it's not, if it doesn't say vegetable glycerin, you know, all of these yellow number 5s, the dyes, all that kind of shit, right? The gelatin and the capsules and the vitamins, right? We make sure it's vegetable capsules, right? All this shit. What are we doing? Now we're making a culture where we're actually looking at what we eat, and now we have more of a habit. We go to the store, now we read the back
Right.
and not the front of the bag.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The
Mhm.
back of the box. What's in this? What's in that? You know, we asking people, what's in this? Right?
It's weird you say that because when I buy toothpaste, like the last tube of toothpaste I just bought, it had the little stripe that it has at the end of the tube, like it has a blue or red stripe. You got to get the one with the blue stripe, because that's the one without the poison. The one with the red stripe has the poison.
Yeah, I heard something about that
Right.
some years ago.
So that's how, like how he said, we look at the thing. That's the same thing I do with that. I look to see if I get a blue stripe. But you know the stripe that it has at the end of the toothpaste tube, right? Either the red or the blue stripe at the bottom of the toothpaste tube. They say the red one has the poison in it, and the blue one is you able to brush your teeth without the toxins.
I think one is like fluoride, one's without fluoride,
Right.
something like that,
The
right?
blue one.
I would suggest though, yeah, any of the regular brands, Colgate and all those are all
Yeah, I'm still getting go to the Africans and getting
Right.
black toothpaste.
The
fluoride free. That's some heavy metal fluoride. You know what I'm saying? That shouldn't be in your body. You know, and
that blocks your pineal gland.
so anyone that if you go to a regular pharmacy, you try to get the ones that regular pharmacies like Rite Aid or something like that. It's the best you get is
Like
Tom's and
Tom's,
Maine. You know, yeah. You know, make sure it's vegan. You know what I'm saying? And look, when you have time, go to a health food store and read the labels. You know, when I became vegan, though, it was just out of rebellion. You know, it's a total rebellion. You know,
Had nothing to do with health.
it did. I was like, you know what? I don't feel much better eating all this, and I stopped eating pork, and I couldn't eat dairy. I got rid of dairy first. I was allergic to dairy, so then I got rid of pork because I was being a rebel. And, you know what I'm saying? Got to be right, exact, be a rebel. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try just getting rid of all the meat, see what happens. Then I'll be eating. And what's a person that doesn't eat meat and dairy? I had to look it up. I guess I'm vegan because I don't, right? And then I was with the I remember I was with the my first daughter's mother, and we passed by Health Nuts out in 99th Street Broadway, and she was like, "Look, that store says health food. You should go in there." Like as a joke, she said it. I was like, "Yo, I'm fucking going in. What do you think?" You know what I mean? Because I'm sure you're trying to be healthy. You should go in there. So I was like, "Okay," because we passing by this shit all the time. And I was like, yo, I saw chips, bags of chips I ain't never seen. You know what I'm saying? You see shit you never seen. I was like, why is this bag here? I ain't never seen no bag like this. So I started reading the labels though. They say shit like, this is 1996. I'm reading things like non-GMO. I was like, what the hell is GMO?
I didn't hear about that word until like,
right? I was like, yo, what does that mean? It must be something good. And then if it says non-GMO, that means that the shit in the
stores.
C-Town must have fucking GMO.
Genetically modified.
But when I go back to C-Town, I can't see the word GMO in anything.
Right.
No, they don't. Right?
They use
So little by little.
They put the numbers with the stickers on it. That's how you can tell it's GMO is not.
Right. It's really hard to tell. Now they have to tell you, but they put it like these cereals. They put it in the tiniest letters. Contains bioengineered ingredients. Like real tiny though. Like yo, you can't even see the shit. But in Europe they banned. A lot of Europe is already banned most of this.
Most of the food that we eat in the United States is banned all over the world.
Even when you see like some like the chocolate bars, things like that, like
It's
it might have like 3 ingredients. 5. Like ours have a whole paragraph.
Oh, yeah, and I saw that too. I saw that too. The ingredients that they have in our food that they do sell around the world is different from what they feed the people in
because they can't get over with that. And over here they can get over all this technical stuff.
It's all about money.
Exactly.
And the scientists today, right? There's there's a lot of books, but one of my favorites is Sugar, Salt, Fat. They have scientists in laboratories devising how to make shit taste incredible.
Yeah.
And
Make you
addictive.
addicted.
You know, the potato chip is gonna have the perfect amount of salt, not too much, just right. The chip is gonna crunch but melt. You're gonna immediately need to go get another one. They make it this way. And the science of the taste buds and stuff, they've discovered where all of them are. So they know how to activate them with the foods. So this shit, like,
That makes sense.
when
That's
you look
why
at
Krispy
when you
Kreme-
look at these treats now, they're different. You know, don't be thinking that you're like, yo, I'm just gonna have one bag and chill. Don't think that you're better than that bag of chips.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying?
The crack
No,
they put in
they
there.
have game that is and skill that is way better than anything you've ever had. So like, if you're gonna eat a treat and stuff like that, just know what you're doing. You know what you're doing because they perfected this shit to a T. You know what I'm saying?
I'm glad we had this conversation because I ate a pizza. I ate a pizza earlier, which I shouldn't have, but I ate a pizza earlier. But this conversation right now, which you just said, gave me what I need to do is to completely stay on my fasting. I like stay on my cleansing. I mean, cleansing my body, detoxing out. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
because I see. Because I'm already having issues with my pancreas, and that's from overeating. And I'm not fat. I'm not a fat person, so that means it's the stuff in the food that's making me want to eat this stuff. That's you know what I'm saying. And then it's messing with your pancreas, because when your pancreas and your liver is messed up, you know what I'm saying. It's a wrap. You know what I mean.
Right.
So it's all from keep eating. Even look, we ain't nobody in here obese, but I'm pretty sure we all eat a lot. You know what I'm saying? Is because is what they put in the food to keep us coming, right? Like, look at Krispy Kreme. Why is Krispy Kreme like crack? What the hell did they put in them donuts to make people keep eating boxes of that shit?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because think about it. Somebody eat an apple, they ain't gonna eat 20 apples. I mean, it's really for somebody
But
to eat, you know,
one
eat-
Krispy
yeah, eat
Kreme,
20
you're gonna
donuts,
eat.
you know?
Yeah.
More.
Mm-hmm. That's what I say. You gotta be very, very careful with this stuff. You know what I mean? They got exceptional skills. There's a lot of reasons why food is more destructive now. You know what I'm saying? Besides the technology that they use in the food, and also the destruction of the planet, though, is destroyed. I was talking about this in one of the videos that came up. You know, the microbiome is destroyed, all of that. You know what I mean? So you have less probiotics, you have less enzymes in the body, all of that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So you really got to look at what you have, and you want to go as natural as you can. You know, even healthy stuff will be sold to you in unhealthy ways. You know what I'm saying? You go to the store, you get yourself dried fruit, but it's filled with sulfur dioxide.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you make sure you only get the dry fruits that only, because I'm big on dried fruit. That's my thing. That's like my treat. You know what I'm saying? And I make sure it never has anything. You know what I'm saying? It never has anything in it. You know what I'm saying? That's why a lot of stuff like apricots are orange, right? When you eat apricot, dried apricots though turn black when they're dry. But people don't know that, so they get the dried apricots that are orange, but they're only orange because the sulfur dioxide is preserving that color, you know, artificially. So you still get nasty, you still get negative stuff. You know what I'm saying? So you always got to read the labels. It's like Jizza said, you got to read the labels. Always read the labels, you know, and be used to that, you know. But we do fast from the pork though, which means you look at what you're eating, you look at what has the pork though, and you take that stand that you will not eat that. We learn how to fast though, so we spend time cleansing our body though, and have the ability. When I became vegan, that's really what developed my ability to fast. So when I came to the nation, it was easy. When I got the nation, it was easy to fast because I had spent some time just saying, listen, the only way I could become vegan was to suffer at many moments. You know what I'm saying? Because I was dating women that were near health food stores, but I ain't living in no health food store. You know what I mean? So I was hungry. When I was home, I was hungry. And when I finally really realized the only way to do it was I had to buy all the shit downtown and take it all the way back up to the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? When I was living at the time, and do all that. So I've always been used to doing that. Now they have, you know, places like Trader Joe's you could afford to get good stuff that is vegan and shit. You know what I mean? But that's the discipline. You know, that's the development. You know what I mean? But it definitely starts with getting rid of the pork, though. You know what I mean? and doing a knowledge where it is in all the foods and stuff like that, you know? And even, it'll be in a lot of shit. It'll even be in soft drinks and shit like that, the dyes and everything.
So pork is a dye.
Yeah, certain dyes, like yellow.
So the yellow is pork.
Even certain breads and things like that.
Breads too, because they use monodiglycerides. That's what makes like Wonder Bread chewy. Bread is chewy. They put the pork binders, right? Because this is what they're putting in there. They put the ligaments, the ligament tissue of the pig and using it. They use everything. So you want to read all that. You know what I'm saying? Okay. But if you're trying to get in shape though, like really get in shape though, bread is the fucking shit you don't want to eat anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Starch, right?
That's right. Eat the fucking bread. A real bread that's a living food, you can't even leave that outside. You have to put that in the fridge. So if your bread don't go in the fridge, it most likely isn't a great bread. You can get a good bread.
It's weird you say that, because I put my bread, when I used to buy bread like that, or if I do get some whole grain bread, because that's the bread that you eat, the whole grain, I put it in the refrigerator.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know
to leave bread. When I was a kid, we had to put bread in the fridge because the mice was going to break down fast.
Roaches going to get
right? Yeah. But really, there's a couple of breads. I think Dave's bread is a good bread. They have a lot of good stuff. But most bread is made out of wheat, right? But most bread is made out of flour. But there's also flourless bread. Like my daughter only eats. Really? I only give her flourless bread.
Really? And then there's other breads like flours, like for instance, like teff flour, amaranth, like ancient grains.
Amaranth is good.
I use the Dr. Sadie Foodless.
That's always a good start. What's the spelt flour? Is very light.
Wild rice.
That's wheat too, but it's a type of wheat that's very light.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
It's not like the wheat that other wheat, right? It's not like.
It's a type though, so if somebody's allergic to if they have gluten allergies, they're still gonna get it though, spelt. You know what I'm saying? But if you just want like a wheat that's tasty but lighter, the spelt is good. But again, read the labels of how the breads are made. You know what I'm saying? There is such thing as flourless bread, made from sprouted grains. That's what I always give my daughter. Ezekiel bread, that brand, it's sprouted bread.
Okay.
They sprout the grains, so they don't have to, But it's not gluten free though. Most baked goods are not gluten free. You know what I'm saying? Gluten
is like a sugar.
Wheat is like the main thing. Gluten is gluten is not sugar. Gluten is the protein from wheat.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Okay. Yeah. So remember, the flouring process though is an extraction process. So you lose a lot of the germ of the wheat, and you lose a lot of the nutrients. Which has color. That's why the flour though doesn't have a lot of nutrients in it. You know what I'm saying? Color. And then it's bleached. Right. A lot of times the whiteness is because it's bleached after that. And then that's worse too. That's why you see unbleached wheat flour in ingredients. And they try to have better ingredients. Unbleached wheat flour. But again, with your breads though, be mindful. Like read the labels, see what you get. Right? All these things, like if you have to eat sandwiches all the time, then you have to look at your diet and shit, and it's hard to get off the sandwich though, like bread, like we don't know what to do if we don't have bread and shit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I did it for like 5 years, the vegan thing.
I did it, I just recently got back on it. I've been on it off and on for the past year, but I was on it straight for like a few years up until about 2017. I started hanging with my cousins again. Fell off, you know what I'm saying? But I ain't gonna front, man. It was it's a lot of discipline because of the fact that you got to know what you want and know how to buy it, because to eat extremely healthy or vegan lifestyle is expensive.
Like me,
about that shit.
I right now I still don't eat meat, right. But like for instance, I grew up eating a lot of vegetables, so like. What is it like? We ate things like boiled yuca, potatoes, and then we had the vegetables on the side and like callaloo. That's callaloo.
My mom's from St. Thomas.
She's
Dominican from St. Thomas.
And it's like Jamaicans, Puerto Rican. The breakfast it's basically all the same.
Yeah, people in the islands,
it's all the same.
Puerto Rico, Dominican, Haiti, St. Thomas,
You know what kills the root vegetables is that they always have to put swine and all that kind of shit on the root vegetables. And a lot of the things like the mango and all that kind of stuff, it's basically they have to mash everything and put pounds of butter and pounds of shit in it. You know what I'm saying? But the root vegetables itself are great.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But these are all things in being a 5%. These are the major things. You know what I'm saying? So we learn how to fast. It's something you learn. You know what I'm saying? You learn to do. You know what I'm saying? So like the best way, if you never really fasted like that, what you do is you take it like a weekend that you're not doing shit. Like you could relax, like a weekend to read or whatever like that. And you say, listen, I don't have to go out. That way, you know, just in case I get weak and shit like that, right? You make sure you have certain things that you'll drink, but don't keep it sugar based. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Right? And one of the things to get fooled out of the sugar base though is don't drink juices. Because the juices you get in the store, 100% juice in the store is just pasteurized juice.
Yeah,
and I'm making your own fruit juices.
Right.
yeah. Get your
This
blender of juice.
is how to do it. There's two options you can have now because they have two options, right? Pasteurized juice, like Tropicana, though, that's why it's thick. When you pasteurize something, you're heating it. But it's an intense heat that kills all the bad germs, but it kills everything. So it has no enzymes, nothing. So it becomes just sugar, right? That's why, you know, just a regular juice like that is no good. So if you buy it from the store, the only way you can get it where you get all the enzymes and it's a real juice is if it says it's cold pressed juice. Okay, cold pressed juice. Right? Or if they say like they just left it raw, like this, you know, right? Like you get honey raw. You know, that's the best honey, raw organic honey, right? Raw, right? Where they're not heating it. Or you prep, or you make your own juice yourself. You know what I'm saying? You make your own juice yourself. You know, you get a juicer and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Right? But now they're selling more and more places are selling cold pressed juices. You know, so if you see it, that's a good thing.
All right.
That's a good thing.
Have you ever been to Styles P store in the Bronx?
Nah, I heard about
Yo,
it.
he got the best smoothies in the world, man. Yo, I'll tell you, his smoothies are so clean and delicious, man. Yo, you want to get a good drink, a good something, go to Styles P spot.
Check it out.
Man, he got some good stuff, man.
Yeah. But when you fast, though, you want to do that. So you want to have some fruit, you know, maybe you prep some fruit juices, get some good juices like that you make yourself or that you get them cold pressed. Have your teas and stuff like that for energy. Like you have like a green tea, you know what I'm saying? So yerba mate, that's something to get used to though. You gotta learn how to drink that, right? But you have those things ready for you so that you can deal with the fast, and then you just, you know, drink a good amount of water, steady water, right? That's how you start your fast. And just have a relaxed day. When you write, read, you do, you know, you do what you do, right? But not where you have to be outside and be working and shit like that, or, you know, right? Be in the demands of somebody else, you know? And that's a good way to start your fast. Get used to it, though. You know, because down the line, after you get used to the fast, you can fast anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Where you go and shit like that, you know? But because I became vegan when nobody even knew about that shit. Like I was defining the word to everybody. You know what I'm saying? So fasting was more, it was very easy because I couldn't find stuff to eat, you know? And again, I was allergic to dairy though. So it's always been hard, like I'm not going to trust you, you know what I'm saying? So it was very easy to not want to eat, you know what I'm saying? I didn't trust what people was doing because people didn't really understand like what dairy is. So they would feed me stuff made with butter, you know what I'm saying? There's no cheese here. And then it's like, yeah, it's got butter in it or something like that, you know, and I would be getting sick and shit. So I was like, you know what? I'm just not gonna eat, man. So I'd be having like intermittent fasting, and I didn't know about intermittent fasting. You like eating, you know, you're fasting like 18 hours, then you eat, you know what I'm saying? So like basically like, let's say I train in the morning, though. Let's say I train in the morning and I have that meal after, and then I don't eat anything else. You know what I'm saying?
So how I know you do martial arts, right? How do you keep like weight on with the diet that you have?
First, I have to know the weight that I fight best at. You know what I'm saying? So I've been able to keep this weight. I've been in many weights. I've been much higher weight. You know what I'm saying? But this weight that I keep now, though, I'm really a featherweight. You know what I'm saying? And I keep it to that weight. But it's easy because all of the food that I eat gives me a lot of protein. gives you a lot of muscle. You know, so like my major snack though is really a whole like bevy of nuts,
Right.
almonds, cashews,
Walnuts.
I eat some walnuts. But my preferred is cashews, hazelnuts, almonds, sunflower seeds. Those are my favorite four. You know what I'm saying? But I fucks with the others too.
Relax with the almonds, because Dr. Sebi took it off his food list, and he said because he found out they have cyanide in them. So that's
if they had cyanide in them, they'd be dead though.
I don't know how much he said. He said it's.
I'll tell you one thing though. I didn't live by Sebi's rules. You know what I'm saying? A lot of shit that Sebi took off his list,
He put back
but
on.
but for reasons though that I didn't find scientific at all.
Well, the thing is that I didn't know, like, because I never really was a. Almonds are okay. I like almonds. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have an issue with them. But then, for some reason, I started wanting to get into different type of, like, you know, I want to learn how to make walnut milk and cashew milk and stuff like that, besides just having almond milk and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, when he started saying that the almonds had cyanide in it, then I started to say, well, how much cyanide do it have in it? Because I've eaten a lot of almonds in it, so it must have a little bit of trace of cyanide in it. You know what I'm saying? But I guess if you eat enough of it, I guess it would probably do the job. You know, I don't know.
Because they also said something like that about walnuts. Like you can only have like 5. He said something like that.
Nah, I don't know anything about that. He said walnuts is. He said
I
walnuts
keep
is
it real with you
perfect.
though. Like
You try to keep it to like,
I've taught a lot of students that dealt with Sebi's stuff, but I never used Sebi's protocol ever.
all right.
That was not the protocol I was using. You know what I'm saying?
But walnuts is a natural nut. What's not a natural nut that I learned? I didn't know cashews was a hybrid. I learned that cashews is a hybrid. It's not a real nut.
All right, I'll give you a question, right?
I
In
didn't
a
know that.
degree, right? Who is the original man, though?
So
The
who?
second sentence says the original man is an Asiatic black man. The maker, the owner.
Owner.
That means on this planet he makes everything.
Right.
Mostly everything that we eat, though, was actually made by
us,
the way
yeah.
that we have decided to make it. Like the fruits didn't just pop up. We planted them. We spliced them. We decided how they go. Most of the fruits and vegetables are not just like how they popped up.
Right.
We
No, most
made
of it's
them.
hybrids. Yeah,
We
most of
put
it's
them-
hybrids.
We put them in certain places to grow them a certain way, and we affected them. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes when for me, when Sebi was knocking things off because he was saying that they was hybrids, that's all bullshit to me.
Because there's always been.
That's 100% bullshit to me. That's not really the measure. Like the category that something falls in is not the measure of its health. You get what I'm saying? Because he never proved. His major theory, though, was the idea of regulating mucus in the body. And I get that, right? Because he was on some no mucus thing, but that's not logical because when you deal with toxins in the environment, your body needs mucus. So, like, that's not really what the point was. But the point was the foods that produce the most mucus are causing problems.
It's causing disease,
But
right?
depending on the actual person as well, or the way that they're using the food, will cause mucus in different ways as well.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So let's say if you have certain foods that, like let's say hot spices and stuff, that actually kill gut bacteria that is negative and heal, right? For certain people that are not getting used to it though, it's gonna cause what? A lot of mucus. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes some of the parameters he was using though weren't always scientific to me. They didn't go on all levels because they were too broad based. When he talked about the hybrids and stuff, I didn't really bear witness to it because it's not really whether the fruit and vegetable is natural like that, where to your judgment, because the history of that fruit, vegetable might go past what we have now. You know what I'm saying? It may have a history that we don't even know about. You know what I'm saying? So if we go to other indigenous lands, though, they may have a different history of that, right? But if you study the history, particularly of all the hundreds of tribes that were here this side of North America, right, and South America, the splicing, the changing, the moving of crops to different places, though, is what actually produced the countless amount of seeds for different types of things. That's why you go to India and they have like 30 different types of eggplant, shit like that. Like, it's because they're changing it. They're moving it to different places. They're planting it into different fields. You see what I'm saying? So they're using the environment, they're using the way they move it, they're using everything to change the quality of that seed and make a new seed. This allows the seed to be made when weather is bad, when weather is too hot, whether it's too cold, right? When there's droughts or when there is floods. You know what I'm saying? Certain crops will survive. You know what I mean? That's why we have different rices and shit. You know what I mean? It wasn't just, these things weren't popping up. This is the way that we dealt with the land.
And like you said, when you spoke about it earlier, as far as genetics is concerned, when you move it, and the different phenotypes moving from one area of the earth to other areas, with food, it's probably, not probably the same thing.
The same thing, right? Because it's all different environments and stuff, right? You know what I mean? Like rice is a great example. Rice isn't really changing its color. Rice comes in many colors. There's red rice, black rice. I've had all of them. Black rice, wild rices, the long black rice, right?
Wild rice is delicious.
Yeah.
Right? But these rices, except for white, which is bleached, that's why it's right, and it's denatured. You know what I'm saying? Except for that, all these rices have different constitutions because of where they're mainly the waters that they're in. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I never went with the Sebi thing on that level, though, because some of the fruits and vegetables that he was knocking off were good depending on how you use them. So, like, let's say carrots, though, right? Carrots aren't the vegetable that you should be ODing with because it's got a lot of sugar. It converts to a lot of sugar in the body.
I didn't know that.
You know what I'm saying? That's why diabetics, they can't be having carrots. They tell them not to eat carrots. It's not because carrots are necessarily evil. It's because carrots convert into sugar in the body and give you more of a sugar content. And remember, diabetics, their body has already been hurt. So even natural sugars like carrots, they cannot take it in high dosages. So it's not that the carrot would be bad for them. It's that normal servings is already too much sugar at one time for them. You see what I'm saying? Because they have an impairment. You know what I mean? For a person who doesn't have diabetes, it would be okay. And that's why they use a lot of carrots, though, in green juices to sweeten that juice. Same thing with beets. You know what I'm saying? Right? Same thing with beets, They even make beet sugar by itself, right? But this is what I'm saying. Like, if we know the history of the fruit and everything, then we can see. But it's also how we use these fruits and vegetables, too. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's not that they're bad. It's just that they're used incorrectly. You know what I mean? We have to know how to use them and shit, and know how to eat them, know when to cook them, right? How to cook them.
Definitely. Some certain things you put in heat, it's not.
Certain things you're not supposed to eat. Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? Right. A lot of vegetables, most people destroy them.
As soon as you put them in the heat.
You know what I'm saying? Like they overcook them, and they lose all their vitality. But other fruits, like for example, tomatoes, when you cook a tomato, right, tomato sauce or whatever like that, you kill all of the vitamin C in it, right? But there are other nutrients in there. I forget the name of the nutrient. But it's an antioxidant. It actually increases under certain amounts of heat. You know what I mean? So it gives you other good things, right? But remember, fire is just another reaction taking place to it. You know what I'm saying? So if you do it correctly, then, Again, look, cold press. Cold press, though, you cannot press things if it's cold. Like, we just think cold. The cold press point is that you're squeezing. Let's say they mainly always do this when you buy olive oil, right? It says cold press, right? When they crush those olives, once the temperature reaches a certain point, they stop the machine and they don't go. Then when the machine gets back to that temperature peak, then they use it again. So that olive never gets heated to a certain point, never gets hot. So even when you're crushing it, it never reaches that level of heat. So you never kill any of the stuff that's in there. And that's why the olive oil ends up being real healthy. You know what I'm saying? You see other brands, though, like Goya will be selling you all the bullshit olive oils along with the cold press, right? You ever tried the other ones? It's different. That's because they just crushed their shit and got them out the door. You know what I mean? So that's why knowing how things are made, how they're using all that stuff. So I would rather someone not use a vegetable and fruit because they say, listen, this has a lot of sugar, this has this, like real things to it. Not just like how it was made or how it developed over time. You know what I'm saying? That's why I never went with the Sebi thing on that. You know what I'm saying? Right? Although a lot of other stuff was really on point there.
Yeah, especially with stuff he said, if it don't really have a seed, he said don't eat it if it don't got a seed. If it's supposed to have a natural seed, you eat the food that comes from the natural seed.
That's best.
Right.
That's best. You know what I'm saying? That's best. You know. Okay. But why do I hear Ghostface Killer? Folate. Yeah, there was something else in there. It was an antioxidant that increases when you heat it. I forgot which one though. Right, the natural heat source too. Yeah. I'm looking back at these. So Harmony, you say I'm just gonna drink water. I'm assuming that you were saying that about the fast and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, corn is. yeah, definitely. Yeah. See, yeah, if you look at it that way, genetically modified, but the genetic modification that the Native Americans did to make all these different types of corn is different from the genetic modification here because they're splicing animal, they're splicing all these things into it. You know what I'm saying? Today's genetic modification, though, that came about because they were trying stupid ideas that they have. You know what I mean? But they were trying to make the crop automatically resistant to the bugs that would try to destroy it. So they basically made a pesticide, almost like vaccine. Everything's with this vaccine shit. And then they injected it into the crop. But it was made in a pig. And then they take it out of the pig and then they inject it into the thing.
Wow.
Which is disgusting.
That's crazy.
The thing about it though is that the shit didn't work. It didn't keep the bugs off or anything. So how come they kept going with this? Because once they made that, altered that crop, and it was genetically modified,
I had to sell it.
it's not only that, but it's no longer natural, regular corn. It's genetically modified corn. So now me as the company, this is a unique product I have. You see what I'm saying? So I made it so now I can patent this food here. You see what I'm saying? And now that's why that's so important because now I can patent the seeds. And when I sell these seeds, these one-off seeds that don't make more seeds, you have to keep buying from me.
So that's probably why, like
Wow.
Haiti. I know Haiti. The U.S. wants Haiti to buy
Yeah.
their
I mean, look right now.
their
Bill
seeds.
Gates has bought the
All the
majority
farmland.
of the farmland in the United States of America. You know, and again, we have to look always deeper. They're trying to get us to now they're trying to get us to eat like engineered meat, more of the fake meats. Why? Because they make them so synthetic now. Like if you're trying to do vegan, be very wary of all these fake burgers and shit like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you go into a store, if a guy makes like his own lentil burger, like something
That's
real like
different.
that, it's different. But these things like Beyond Beef and all that,
Yeah.
one of the major
It tastes
I would
good,
say-
but I heard
I
that
would say
shit's
this,
not
one of the
good.
major ingredients that it grosses me out. So I always tell you about it. One of the major ingredients, you look this up in all these fake
And
meats,
Beyond Meat isn't Beyond Meat too.
yeah, is methylcellulose. Always look for that, methylcellulose. Methylcellulose is laxative.
You know the
It's a laxative.
You know the health food store.
Why would they need they need to put the laxative inside that food because
so we can move on
it'll
down.
say 20 grams of protein in one tiny burger. Your body can't absorb 20 grams. You know what I'm saying? And you can't process that shit. And so what it does, the methylcellulose, you think you're clear. It's just a laxative. All that food is not being processed, it's not being used for
So you
nutrients.
didn't eat anything.
It's just going through you. You know? And so you have a lot of like wasteful food just going right through your system. You know?
Your body just using energy to.
And because they process these things to make these proteins. And then you have to look, right, in products though. Is it just like, doesn't matter which, is it soy protein or pea protein by its powder, or is it isolates? Where they're using a hexane gas to extract the protein. You see? So now you gotta look at like most of these products are isolates. They'll say isolate next to the protein. You know what I mean? And then now you look at the soy. The reason soy is terrible is not because soy is bad for you. natural soy products like a tempeh is the best, right? Which is fermented soy along with other grains mixed in. That's a great product. That's my favorite. But organic tofu is okay. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the organic soy milk is good for you. You know, it's okay, right? But most soy is processed. So soybean oil goes through a gruesome process of extraction and all types of shit to make that oil. It doesn't process like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's not good for you. What's the other shit? Soy burgers, anything soy.
Yeah, anything soy.
I heard soy.
It is. It has to be processed.
Right.
So it has to be processed so heavily to get the protein out that it's a dangerous product to eat, and that's what's causing the feminization of people when they're eating that
So that's
stuff.
what
It's
causes
the processed soy.
Yeah.
These people that are getting that, they're not out there eating burgers. They're not out there eating soy milk. They're not eating tofu. Like, so yeah, I ate one serving of tofu and now I have breast. You know what I'm saying? These people aren't eating tofu. How are they getting that? Because all these products that we get, all these cookies and all that, read it. They say, what was the oil used? Vegetable oil. There's no such thing as vegetable oil. Which vegetable? There's hundreds of vegetables. It's GMO corn and soy. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of people are like, I don't drink no soy, I ain't no bitch, I don't want no tofu. But then they're eating cookies and stuff, and it's always made with that soybean oil. That's what they're using.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And that's how you get the soy. So they get in the processed soy. The processed soy is the problem. Because processed soy is probably like, if I could pick like a natural food that gets ruined by any type of processing, is that. It's not as simple as crushing a soybean, because it doesn't. If you ever seen a soybean, did you ever crush a soybean? Nothing comes out. Like, you know, it's not like, you know, if somebody gives you an olive and you crush it, you know,
You see it.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But you don't get anything, you know. You throw a soybean, it doesn't, you know. So to get the oil out, though, they have to do like this whole process. It's crazy. It's crazy. You know what I mean? Through that process, there are moments in that process where the actual soybean oil is actually toxic. Like in the middle of the process, before it's finished, it's actually a toxic ingredient. It's toxic until it gets to the finish line. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So like once the person eats, it's no good. But people don't know because it's all the products that they would never think it would be in. You know, when you go through a regular supermarket, look through products and look what oils are being used for these foods. You know what I'm saying? Then you're gonna see like vegetable oils, corn oil, soybean oil. You know what I'm saying? All of the bad oils. You know what I'm saying? So it's tough. It's really hard. You know what I'm saying? So we have to be more particular. We have to be more careful. You know what I'm saying? Right? So that's definitely something to do with knowledge too. You know what I mean? But that's why I had the criticisms about Sebi. I always had, you know. I thought his juice ideas and everything like that was superb. The protocols, the juice protocols, the types of juices he was making, combinations.
But one of the main things I listened to when I first started taking it in 2011 or 2012, he said, no meat, no soy, no dairy. Everything that we said we don't eat.
Yeah. And see, it was better to make a rule like that, because if you say all the stuff I said about soy, it's going to be too complex for people to go on this, you know? Like now when I tell people, I say, if you're going to eat soy, organic tofu or organic tempeh, maybe some organic soy milk, you know, maybe, you know what I mean? The milks, most of the milks that are vegan, they process them too.
Right.
So like you talk about cashew milk. Almonds and cashews have a lot of protein.
Mm-hmm.
But if you notice, when you drink the milk, they have no protein.
No protein, right?
So it's that extraction process.
Right?
Yeah, you know, it's the processing, you know? Because I'm thinking like, I drink almond milk and get that protein. Theoretically, you should, but you don't.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's because of that. You know, all these things get processed. Plus, the major reason to chill with all the other vegan milks, not because they're that bad for you, it's because they use a lot of sugar. They're putting sugar in them. You know, when you're having all these sugar drinks, it's like it's not really helping you.
Nope.
You know, so that's the thing, you know. But again, health is a hard thing. Like most people don't do it the way I'm doing it. I'm giving you the extreme that I have lived, so you know that it's possible.
Right.
But I want you to make your choices, so that way, like, I want you to be like, when you go get a treat, do you say, listen, you know what? I'm gonna get a treat, but I'm gonna go to the health food store and buy these treats that they have there. I'm gonna get chips that I find there. I'm gonna get chips that I find there, and I'm gonna save it for the end of the week and earn my treat. You know what I'm saying? And then when you start to eat, it's about the mentality. So when you start to eat now, everything you eat, just try to be more aware of how it feels. You know what I'm saying? How it feels. You know? And then you try to link that with your body. You try to do actual exercise. Like, what particular exercise you're gonna do. Don't just like do some push-ups here when you get bored. Have particular things. Like, write it out. Like, so, all right, all the parts of your body. So look, I'm gonna do push-ups, right? That's chest, right? Oh, pull-up thing. I'm gonna do the pull-up bar, right? Count how many you're gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? Me, I'm a horrible counter. That's my shit that I count. Because I'm always I'll be listening to music, I'll be listening to the lyrics, or I'll be listening to podcasts. I always lose count of shit. You know what I'm saying? So what I do is I put timers. Like I do push-ups like 2 minutes straight. No stop. Just 2 minutes. You know, if I get tired, I just stay up. I don't bend. You know what I'm saying? All that. I do things by time, so that way, like, it's always at a set time. So the intensity gets harder because I go harder with less rest time and make the shit more concentrated. You know what I'm saying? But I do an intense workout and it lasts only an hour. And trust me, it's brutal. It has everything in it. Everything.
I'm pretty sure.
You know what I'm saying? It has everything in it though. Very few people get through it with me. You know what I'm saying? And do it that fast. You know what I'm saying? It goes to weightlifting, to all this other shit. Everything. I got everything. Because I have a home gym and I put everything in it. Okay. I got resistance bands. I got bench. I got everything. You know what I'm saying? So I go through it. You know what I'm saying? But you decide what do you want to, how do you want to use your body, what do you want to make it look like, you know what I'm saying, and you go for it though. And then when you eat though, you say, listen, everything, I'm going to be aware of everything I eat, because it's knowledge of self, right? So one of the things you want to be aware of what you do with your body, what you take in, how you use it, you know what I'm saying? All of these shit you should be aware of, you know, take note of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it'll slowly be like, yo, I'm going to do this better for myself. And the thing is, being aware is the most important thing, because you know, there's people that they'll buy like healthy things, but they never know the effect. That feels like a waste of money too, because you don't know if it's doing anything. So you want to gauge everything. So right now, with everything you're doing as is, right? Start to take note of how it feels and where you're at. Then you start to add something, add something. Like even when I add nutrients, I have a lot of, like this, I have nutrients too, like my vitamin B's, all that. Every time I add something new just to mess around with it, I take a gauge, okay? Because I'm smaller than the average man, right? So my body weight is small, so I always make sure my dosages are right, not just what the bottle says. You know what I'm saying? With everything. So I gauge, I say, listen, I started taking this, so how's it feel? I'll take chlorophyll. I said, how does this feel? Am I getting a benefit or am I just blowing on my mind here? You know what I'm saying? But you have to be very aware of how you feel. You know what I'm saying? You go to rest though. All right, it's hard to get to bed at the same time every single night, right? But keep track of how many hours you're sleeping. That way you could know, like, yo, instead of saying like, yo, I feel run down, I don't even know, this is crazy. Instead of feeling run down, you say, listen, I'm not getting enough rest. I expect to be run down. You see the difference? I missed some sleep though. I missed at least 2 hours of sleep. I expect to be run down. How far am I to go? Let's see if I can get a nap in between. You know what I mean? And that shit will help you. You know what I'm saying? So let's say, unless you're in one of those millennial jobs and shit where they let you take a nap in a fucking bed, in the middle of the office and shit, right? You get home from work though, you don't go straight to bed, but let's say you say, I'm gonna take a 10-minute nap and put the timer up. And he said, I can't really fall asleep like just on cue like that, right? So he said, no, it's rest. Take the pressure off yourself to try to sleep. I take all pressure. You just let go. So I put a timer, right? I put my timer for like 20 minutes only, right? And I said, it doesn't matter if I fall asleep. I don't worry about that. I just make sure I close my eyes and I rest. And pretty soon, for a lot of that, I fell asleep.
Because it was
You know what I'm
you started meditating.
Right. So as long as, because all my body really needs some type of rest. You know what I'm saying? So you gauge it though. Like if you're behind your rest, so you said, listen, I'm gonna get me like a 10-minute rest because I came home, but I want to do some of this reading and shit like that. But I know I'm tired. I don't read shit. Let me lie down for this amount of time. You know, you'd be surprised though. Lay it on. You know what I'm saying? So always be gauging these things, judge these things, study these things, study yourself. You know what I'm saying? We talk about martial arts all the time, right? People always talk about Bruce Lee beat anybody up, this and that, right? But Bruce Lee could never try and fight every person that ever existed. So he never really would know for sure if he could beat up everybody, right?
Right.
The only person that he could be completely aware of is him. You know what I'm saying? So if you have a complete knowledge of yourself, like, yo, this is where I'm at, this is what I could do, boom, right? It's the only difference. Martial art is extremely aware of his body, you know? He's like, I got these injuries, I can't really move this way, that way, so I'm gonna fight this way, you know what I'm saying? Because it's not like he said, listen, my leg is hurt right now, can't really fight you right now. We'll meet up next week, right? Don't worry about it, right? Nah, that's not how, you know, we get this shit, that's not how it goes. Right? So you gotta know what you could do. You know what I'm saying? This left shoulder is no good. You're gonna have to be right here. You know what I'm saying? You have to keep it right here. Right? So everything counts. Everything you're judging. But you don't know your body, you won't know your mind, you won't know everything. You only know the cliches of what you think you perform well as. You know? Yeah, I don't really like to do that. You never really tested it. You know what I'm saying? You never really tested it. Like I write on this. I've had days though, and I did this in my 20s though, right? I had days where I said, listen, I'm on a little vacation here, so I'm gonna see how far I could read, like how long I could read though. Like except for like, you know, when I'm eating meals, I'm just gonna fucking read all day. Like until my head like burns out. Like, you know, how long are you gonna burn out though? You know what I'm saying? And I was doing the whole day. I would try crazy shit because I was a writer. I wanted to be, before I was a writer, I wanted to be a writer. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to break night reading, not go to sleep, just read through the night and not go to sleep.
I passed,
You know what I'm saying? I did it though. I had the crazy headache the next day. Crazy headache the next day. Yo, what happens is that you feel like total shit, but you're almost there. And then all of a sudden it all goes away and you're like, I'm not tired anymore. And by like 4 o'clock and shit, you're not tired anymore. And then the sun comes, so you're like, yo, this is fucking crazy though. And you're basically high. You're not really good right now. You're high off the endorphins of doing this shit. You know what I mean? And you're like, I did it. And then you have a meal and shit, you start watching a good program, and then it's night. You know what I'm saying? And you're sleeping like the whole next day. But I tried all these stupid things, these stupid ideas, just see to test the limits of how far we can go. You know what I'm saying? Like we used to do all that though. Like we used to have days for like, yo, God, because I learned with the guys. Like we used to, yo, let's have a day where we do kung fu all day. And that's how it was. We'd go to Mount Morris Park here, right? All up the top of Mount Morris Park. We'd get there like before 12 o'clock. And we would be there the whole day. And we'd be leaving at like 7 o'clock at night. We do that all summer, every weekend. You know what I mean? So we just tested the limits of what we do. We go home just broken. Broken. Everything hurts. Nothing feels good. Nothing feels good. You know what I'm saying? But we're just testing ourselves. But I'm saying, you don't have to go to extremes, but like, test yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I told you I write in the journals. I have tested to see how long I could write in a journal without my hands just going done. You know what I'm saying? But like, it's done, you know? And I've done like 40 pages. You know what I'm saying? Like, all the way. And the shit don't work no more. Like, it's cramping and I can't even do this position no more. You know what I mean? It's like just testing the limits though. And be surprised though, like, yo, your mind can absorb all this knowledge. It really can. And that's what the journals are for. That's why like I don't really forget a lot of things that I find important. Because even if I forget the details, I know that it exists. I know it's out there. I know what it is. You know what I'm saying?
and I could go back to find a reference point. You know, it's because of all the journal writing about all the books I've read. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I started writing journals. It wasn't because to keep my life. It was because I was slowly getting the knowledge of stuff, and I was reading all these books, and I couldn't keep them. And it's funny. It was Destruction of Black Civilization. I got that from the library at Brewer College when I was going to Brewer College, right? And I used to rip out the pages from the book and keep them, the ones that were good. And this one was like they had too many jewels. So I was like, yo, if I give him back, it's gonna look like a pamphlet, the shit I give him back. So I can't do that. So I was like, I'm gonna get me a journal and I'm gonna write down everything that was good in the book that I want to remember until I could afford to buy it myself. And in this book, I didn't even know where to get this shit. Cause like back then, you go to Barnes and Nobles, you go, yo, you have Destruction of Black Civilization. They have no black books in it. You know, that was the vendors and shit. You know, the 125th, shit like that, right? So it was like I didn't know about that because I have knowledge of stuff. I was just trying to learn, but I found it in the library there, a very beat up copy, and I started to write down every little piece that I would remember, everything. And then after a while, I started to write my commentaries of what I thought about what I read. And now I'm having discourse. You know what I'm saying? And now I'm having ideas and theories about what I read and stuff. And I would write it this way, I write it that way. You know what I'm saying? And now it's a dialogue in there about the books I'm reading. That's where the journals came into play. You know what I'm saying? That's what they became. You know? But all these things are like just testing your mind, how far you can go. You know what I'm saying? But always keep the palate though. Keep the palate running. The mind is infinite. The mind you can take all this. It's just gonna grow deeper. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna get more profound. So you could take all this. You know what I'm saying? You do music, you write songs that you could take anybody's music. You know what I'm saying? Study the whole works of Smokey Robinson. You go there. You go to Dolly Parton's written, composed works. Right? How many compositions she wrote? She's written thousands of compositions in your lifetime. You don't run out of shit if you just keep plugging. You know what I'm saying? Right? You go all the way here, all the way there. There's so much to mine. You know what I'm saying? Mine it all. You know what I'm saying? Right? That's what it is for me, man. You know what I'm saying? I never stop with that shit. You know what I mean? I never stop collecting. I never stop any of that. You know what I'm saying? That's why I love people hate this digital age though, but I love it though. I get to hear everything.
So much knowledge.
Oh,
You
know what I'm saying? I collect every book I can. Now, if I've never lived in a place where I could keep a library of 6,000 books.
Keep her in your phone.
You know what I'm saying? But I can access that while I'm on, right? I can access that. You know what I'm saying? And at least 100 of them, I got them saved in the phone, and I don't have to be under any Wi-Fi to even get them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The ones that I'm reading currently. So it's like, yo, take advantage. We know that the digital age is doing shit that's not right exactly. We know we're getting into a transhuman age. That's some shit.
Oh yeah,
right?
Right?
The transhumanism, all that kind of shit, right? And then they control your money. You get in trouble, or they lock your shit out, right? They do that in China already.
They're about to do that now.
That's what they do. That's what they do. They do that regularly in China. You know what I'm saying? But whatever we have, we gotta use it to our advantage and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? We gotta use it to take the best part. You know what I'm saying? Use it. You know what I mean? So that's all of that is everything I've said. That is your introduction to this. Now you know what this is. You know what I'm saying? You take your time. You know how to spell my name.
Yeah.
You go online. You look it up. You know what I'm saying? Right? I have all the confidence that my word carries, though. You look up my name, though, you're gonna find out. Study who I am. See if I'm worth speaking to, building with. You know what I mean? Do the knowledge. Ask around. All that kind of shit. You see what's worth to you, what you want to get, though. And if this is it, then I'm here. You know what I'm saying? And then we build. We continue to build. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right. You have my email, right?
Yeah.
Sunez97, right? So you make your decision because the knowledge itself is for you and it's about you. It's not about me. It's about you and not about me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? No matter what. You know? Right? So if you got any questions, then we good. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go through these questions, see what they have here. That's right. The endocrine disruptors, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It's disgusting. You know what's funny? I used to use, in the beginning, there were no vegan protein powders. And when I started to train in martial arts,
Yeah,
I was like, yo, I was really healthy. I was getting all these sort, but I used to always be bloated though. Like I'm right. I'm 5'4". I keep my weight like 128 to 130. I like it 128 though, but it stays in that range, right? Like 128, 130, right? When I used to train though, in the beginning, I was 150 pounds. So. I'm vegan though. I'm training at 150 pounds though, right? And that was a lot for me. But I wasn't fat and shit like that. I just was big, you know what I mean? But I wasn't agile. You know, I wasn't agile. I couldn't move and shit like that the way I wanted to. You know what I'm saying? But that was the highest I've ever been. But a lot of times the soy was keeping me very bloated. You know what I'm saying? Because it was processed. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't have, like, when I became vegan, they didn't have pea protein powder. That shit was not made yet.
Right.
Now they also got hemp.
Yeah, there was no hemp. You know what I'm saying? I drank hemp milk, but they didn't have hemp protein powder yet.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And they haven't hemp protein powder yet. You know, the pea protein powders are pretty good though. They go down pretty good, as long as they're not isolates. You know what I'm saying? Then they're not processed like that. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of good brands now. I can't front. There's a lot of good brands. You know, that are actually good, that don't give you all that shit. And they don't really make protein powder, the vegan protein powders with soy.
Okay.
They don't really make them like that anymore. Because they know people don't fuck with the soy like that. And they know the deal, so they don't make them with that anymore. You know? But that shit was crazy. You know what I'm saying? That shit was crazy. And that was for years I was drinking that because there was nothing else. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing else. You know? And you do something, you don't know that was the problem. You know what I'm saying? And plus, though, when people train and when they work out, they're like, yo, you got to take protein, you got to overload the protein, things like that. My body never took to overloading the protein. So, like, even when I never take more, like, I never scoop more than 10 grams of protein at a time. Never be one.
Because your body can't.
Doesn't process it, though, so it becomes, it's no good for you. You know what I'm saying? It denatures, it fucks you up. You know what I'm saying?
Unless you're training like you said, I was training on Morris.
Yeah, those type of days I was doing so much workout that I could take all that.
Exactly.
But at one time, so it still would be where I could take the protein, this amount of protein here, this amount, like it still would be never more than a certain amount at one time. So it could be more extra protein taken throughout the day, but never a larger amount at one time. You know, because I always deal with that too. The way the body processes the food is key too. And overloading the body at one time, though, is never good. You know what I'm saying? And we're always going to have that habit, though. There's always a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? But the way I eat, though, I leave it to where my biggest problem will be more I overeat fruit than anything else at one time. You know? I'm very careful about making sure I don't overeat the meal. So I want to eat a lot, but I make sure that I'll spread it out. And then if I want to eat still, though, then because I'm intermittently fasting, it's too late. I'll be like, it's too late. And the thing is, though, I always have confidence that, like, I don't need the food. I'll be fine. You know what I'm saying? But I train fasted anyway. So I eat after. I don't eat before. So I wake up I wake up and train. I don't, you know what I'm saying? So I don't eat a pre-workout meal or anything. You know what I'm saying? I literally like change and get in there. You know what I'm saying? You know? And that's good too if you want to cut too. You know? That makes you it's you cut down real well though. You train fasted like that. You know what I'm saying? You know? So there's all types of ways to do it though. And listen, anything I said today, I'll repeat. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like you have to memorize everything that I said. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of things that we could do. And this knowledge of self though is much deeper than just learning some things that people said. You know what I'm saying? It's about really actualizing it. You know? Seeing the supremacy in ourselves and really testing it out. But you have to have a vigilance. You know what I'm saying? And you have to get anything out your way. You know what I'm saying? People might be, what's funny? People are more ostracized in my life, right? People are more feel ostracized or like have ostracized me and made me feel certain ways and stuff, or like felt like I was being a loner or a lone man out or doing shit that was different than everybody, and it had nothing to do with what I was saying was the true and living God.
Mhm.
It had more to do with the lifestyle that went along with that. You know what I mean? That doing all this training, that doing all this reading and shit like that, doing all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Doing all this writing. You know, doing all this to the extent. You know what I mean? But when I look back, though, I don't have Moses. I don't have any moment where I go back and I say, "Look, I wish I worked harder." Or anything. Everybody has moments where they say, "I wish it worked out better." I don't have moments where I say, "I wish I didn't work. I wish I worked harder." I have zero moments. There are no moments like that. I don't have a moment like that. You know what I'm saying? I could have published something that was whack, that I didn't like, all types of shit. But I have no way of looking back and regret like that. You know what I'm saying? That's how you get to a place. That's how you get to that place. You know what I'm saying? That's how you get there. You know? All right, let's see what's. You know what? I've never used any Ayurvedic medicine. I don't think I have. Maybe I have, but not really like consciously. I be trying all types of stuff, but I don't think I ever studied it like that. Yo, yeah, right. Yo, it's all in the mentality. You know what I'm saying? Like we really feel like we need that, so then we need it. You know what I'm saying? Like you need that extra meal to load up and work out and shit like that. And I'm like, after a while, I'm like, yo, I'm training to fight. And you train to fight when you have nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And everybody's going to be bigger than me. Everybody's going to be stronger. I just got to learn how to just go and do it. And so I don't need that fancy meal. I don't need this. I don't need that. You know what I'm saying? Just go do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's, you know. But to get to that quality, you have to get through the mass quantity, the massive quantity of work done. You know what I mean? And they get massive amounts of work done. That's how you get the best art. That's how you get the best works. You know what I'm saying? As I said, Dolly Parton, right? She has so many great songs, but she had to write a lot of doozies, a lot of bullshit words. And just keep writing. You know what I'm saying? Keep writing.
Yeah, it's weird that you say that because she wrote that song. I think I will always love you.
Yeah.
That Whitney Houston blew up off of. Now she wrote it. She didn't. She blew up and got rich because Whitney Houston sold about 10 million off that one song.
She got richer.
She got rich.
She was already rich.
She had hits before
Yeah.
that.
Who, Dolly Parton?
Yeah.
And I Will Always Love You was a hit for her too.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it definitely was.
But I think Whitney made it a super hit.
No, she made it. She made it like amazing. I like both versions.
Yeah.
But Whitney's is the bomb.
Yeah, Whitney, yeah.
That's crazy. What she did with that song.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Whitney, Dolly's version doesn't have that peak like that. Like it doesn't have that.
Because she can't do that.
No, but I think that she never thought of doing
She
it.
probably never thought of doing it.
Right? She never interpreted it like that. Like you would, like hit that peak like that.
I guess that's the difference in
Yeah.
the original.
Yeah.
You know.
That's also like the arrangements is important too.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you know you're a singer, you know you're a musician, you know you're a singer, you know like, yo, we're gonna arrange it this way because you could do this part. You could do this with it.
And then it's two different genres also. So what Whitney did wasn't really country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
They don't wail that way in a country song.
They
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have liked it if Dolly Parton sang it like that.
Yo, that's a big point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
she did it the black way. Dolly Parton did it
Just
country way.
what's his name?
see though, I don't say that though because to me the country way is the soul way too.
Because the story,
All the country music though.
all the stories
if you listen to country music, like really good country, it's soft soul music.
It's so
really
and it comes from the
blues.
heart.
Yeah.
You know what's weird that you say that, because when I was a little boy, my mother used to always listen to country music. Really, my mother used to always listen to country music.
What's this guy name? If you think you're lonely now, what's his name? I don't know why I can't
Bobby
think.
Womack.
Bobby Womack had took a song called Harry Hippie, and he had changed it around to an R&B version, and he put his experience, and he spoke about his brother being an alcoholic, and you know there wasn't much he could do to help him, and the song was a hit for him. But you know it was a country song.
Yeah.
But the country, because you know what it is? Because
And
country
he made a
is
country album.
He did.
He made a country
Yeah,
album,
yeah.
and it was funny. The cover's funny because he's like on the horses and everything, and he tried to give it the whole country thing and everything. It didn't do good for him now. Like it didn't do great, but it was a dope album. I thought it was dope. Yeah. I don't really. There isn't really too many Bobby Womack's I don't like. All his albums.
Yeah. Did you hear any of his stuff on that Sam Cooke had did for him? You know he was signed to Sam Cooke label.
That's right. Yeah. That was it. Yeah, he was under. Yeah, he was learning from Sam Cooke. Yeah. His autobiography is a crazy read. That's it.
I read Sam Cooke's.
Bobby Womack married Sam Cooke White. And Bobby Womack.
He gives his reason behind that. It's not. You know, people thought he was a snake and they hated him for that, but it was much more.
Did he put in the book that Sam Cooke brother beat the holy shit out of him for that? He put that in the book. He did. Yeah.
No, he was honest in the book because remember, Bobby Womack got shot in the head too. Okay. He got shot like they almost killed him too.
He messed with Sam Cooke's daughter also.
He messed with Sam Cooke's daughter also.
Yeah, that's so.
Yeah, see, I didn't know that part.
And the thing is, though, is like when you read his autobiography, it's more like he's young and he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, and he just keeps making these mistakes and shit like that. It wasn't. Like it's not. He was R. Kelly shit.
Right.
He literally was lost when Sam Cooke died. Like he didn't know what to do. You know what I'm saying?
Mentor, right?
Yeah. You know, like because remember, Sam Cooke's level was so high that now he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know, am I going to go up? What am I going to do? He doesn't. Yeah. And for him, he was kind of like the way he says it. Like he was kind of like she wanted him to be with him and to be the one to take care of him and shit like that. And he didn't know how to say no. He felt like, do I do this for him?
Because she's
coming up. Do I leave her for some other guy to take care of my man, my big bro's woman, or do I? So, yeah.
He was young.
Yeah. So doesn't look like a smart decision though. But when the blinders are on and you don't really know what you're doing and shit like that, it sounds like a logical idea. Like I'll take care of her. And he felt like other people were trying to like bloodsuck her, you know, and take Sam's money from her and everything. So he thought like, okay, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know if I wouldn't make that decision myself, but like that's how he said it though. So like I said, interesting autobio though. And his knowledge of music is crazy. Because he was around everybody. He was around Jimi Hendrix in the beginning and shit like that.
Before he died, he had a hit before he died. He died a few years ago.
Yeah, Womack died fairly recently.
Yeah, he had he was on a song with this rock band, and it did really well.
I gotta hear that again. You said Bobby Womack, "Trust Me" is mad deep. I gotta hear that song again.
Oh yeah.
I wish you didn't trust me so much.
Yeah. Oh, now you gotta hear that. You never heard that, Sunez?
I can't remember. I haven't heard Bobby Womack in a while because I read the autobiography and then after that I haven't listened to him in a while.
When you hear that, didn't trust you so much about Bobby Womack, you'll be like, nah, this nigga's a creep.
Let me see if I have the song. Here goes my Bobby collection. A lot of times when I read their autobiography, I don't read them afterward because when I read the autobiography, if they're not rap, if I read their autobiography, I'm listening to the music only while I read it.
Okay.
So like I'm reading a biography of Phyllis Hyman, who's my favorite. She's my favorite.
I used to study with her teacher.
Yeah, and
yeah,
that's dope.
I know a few of her own. I know a few people that were in her class.
I used to have the biggest crush on her when I was a boy.
Yeah.
I swear to God.
She went to the
How would that not end, right? She was gorgeous.
Because she was so. I was a little boy. You know, the first time I ever laid out on Phyllis Hyman because I was a little boy was in school days. And School Days came out in like what 87, some shit like it came out in the late 80s,
Yeah,
late 80s.
yeah.
So that's the first time I seen Phyllis Hyman is in School Days, and that was like if that came out in the 80s, I seen it in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? When I was a younger kid. So and when I seen her in that movie singing that song, yo,
B1. That was the name of the song. She
Right.
said B1.
She looked so fucking beautiful. I never seen shit like that before. I was a little boy. I was like, wow. And then I remember when she died, she had a show at the Apollo. Because my mother worked on 126th in Morningside.
Yeah.
And she was supposed to have a show at the Apollo. And she killed herself earlier that day.
Yep.
That was crazy.
Yeah, she had a lot of mental issues. You know what I'm saying? Like she was super diva with that shit. You know what I mean? Very interesting biography though.
Oh, she had a biography as well?
No, it was written about her. It's not. She didn't write an autobiography.
Oh, okay. So it was a biography.
Biography. Yeah. No, I won't allow that comparison. You said Phyllis was my Beyonce.
Phyllis Hyman was so beautiful. Oh my God. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And I'm a little boy. I'm like, yo, what the fuck is this on School Days?
Listen, I love Phyllis Hyman. Though. All I make my kids listen to it. Every other day if I haven't
My
listened to
favorite
it.
song from her is Just Call My Name. That's my favorite song from. Oh my God.
All right, unless anybody has any questions. Oh, who were the prophets in the? That's a good question. Who were the prophets? You know what I'm saying? In the understanding culture degree. You know, I never thought about what the answer would be to that. Let me think about that for a minute. These have to go back to the 24 scientists, though. When we're talking about the beginning, right? When we talk about that prophesies that Yakub would have an idea, all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So we're really talking about, ancient cultures that knew what was going on. You know what I'm saying? So it's not individual people. It's definitely not biblical people. Even before that, But what's a prophet, though? We look mysterious about a prophet. A prophet is just someone that understands the landscape and sees how it will go. It's a forecaster. That's all it is. And we say, what is the ability of prophesizing ancient times, though? We go here, and we see pyramids that have stayed up for over 20,000 years. When they made them, someone had the forecast say, we build it this way. This cannot be destroyed. So let's just think about the power in our ancient civilizations that they were able to make things that would last that long, despite the weather, despite all of the happenings of man. They could make things that would last that long, which means that they saw things in a different way than we did. That's why I say studying history before white people were here. You have to change your mindset.
A lot of people can't do that because all they ever knew had to do with white people.
Not all they, all we
yeah, right.
ever know. We don't know either.
Yeah, it's all we.
Right? So it's the way we deal with history. You definitely have to do with that, but you really have to do with all history.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because they weren't here, they weren't around.
We really have to do with all history, you know what I'm saying? But certainly with ancient history like that.
Because they wasn't there.
So when we talk about prophecy and someone being able to tell what will happen, their abilities are just with a higher threshold of knowledge. An ability to use that knowledge in a different way that the answers, they're cutting down variables. In other words, there's less confusion. So there's less variables. There's less possibility of change. So they can gauge the fewer changes that will happen, right? They're able to make things, right? Now it's all types of variables, though, right? Like, for example, food is not that simple, right? Food is complex. People eat all types of horrible foods. Which ingredient ruined them? It'd be impossible to figure out.
Yeah, because there's so much.
But you figure it out.
Yeah.
Now think about it in ancient times, though, where these things didn't exist like that, and how they ate and what they did. They're going to see things differently. They're going to be able to use things, work better, work longer. The mindsets are different. So when we talk about prophecy, we're talking about people that know the path of something because they're seeing paths of confusion for the very first time. And the contrast is even greater than you could ever see. See?
Mm.
So when we look at history, this is what we think about when we look at history. You know? Of course, when we look at history, though, we learn ancient history, but we're supposed to read it with today's viewpoints. And that's what makes things mysterious, and that's what makes things sound religious and holy. You know what I mean? But it's really not. You know? That's right. A messenger of a message that can forecast, right? I never read a book, the Red Book by Carl Jung, because the Red Book that I know of, though, has to do with, it's not about psychology. So I don't know the Red Book by Carl Jung. But I never read books particularly, I never read a book, I read books concerning Carl Jung, but and I think I read, what was it? You know, a lot of people don't know, he actually translated some of the ancient Chinese texts, which I didn't really appreciate his translations at all. But I think that's the only thing I ever read of him. Not really his psychological works. You know what I mean? The practical way to look at the understanding wisdom degree. I feel like you asked this in a different way before, but the mental physical powers of a devil, you know what I'm saying? Something that's grafted isn't as strong. You know what I'm saying? What's a practical way of looking at this? Expect more of yourself. That's the most practical way. They got a degree saying the original man's power is stronger than devil's power, physically and mentally. I read that degree real simple. I don't get into all this thing where I'm more powerful than you, I'm more greater than you. I'm like, more than should be expected. If I could do more, then more should be expected of me. That's that simple, because we keep saying the devil's weak, they can't take the sun, they suck at this, their hair is all stringy, right? Whatever we say, right? All this kind of shit. But then for the weakness that they are born into, there's tons of wickedness, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's tons of work. There's 3 W's. The other W ain't in it. They're weak, wicked, and they get that work done. Because this whole shit that we're dealing with, all this oppression, colonialism, and all this, that's work. They put that work in. They're weaker, but they put that work in them. They turn the stronger into tools and slaves, and they got that work done. Right? But they got the work done. That's what I think. When I see that degree, like the original man's physical power is more than the devil, I'm like, we got work to do because we're not putting in work. They shouldn't be weaker than us, though, and put in more work.
Right. So it's basically a mind thing.
It's always, yeah. It doesn't matter that our mind power in the degree says is greater than the devil.
Right.
Because if they're manipulating us and using our mind power, then our mind power is now theirs. You know what I'm saying? We gotta get on our fucking game. That's what that shit means.
And you know what it is? And it's all because we're not naturally wicked from the core.
However, when people are oppressed and put in a position that is not thriving but in survival mode, then we're all in positions to be weak and wicked. See, weak means that the devil isn't that he's weaker because he's genetically weaker, all that kind of shit, all that. The point being, he was made weaker, and so he's prone to wickedness. Nearly always wicked. Not every white man wicked. We deal with every white man as we deal with them. But these degrees are about the macro. You know what I'm saying? The majority. Not every original man is God. There'd be a whole bunch of devils out there doing devilish shit. You know what I'm saying?
That's
right. Obama did devilish shit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a fact.
He got his Nobel Peace Prize though while he was smoking motherfuckers out there.
Every day.
Right? He got the Nobel Peace Prize, but he killed, you know what I'm saying? He was killing. You know what I'm saying? But that whole concept of the idea of weakness is like they equalize the playing field with their oppression. They put all of us into a weak position of survival mode. Not thriving, survival mode. And then if everybody's in survival mode, they will do wicked things to get ahead because they need to. You know what I'm saying? Look at the biggest justification for the most widely spoken of endeavor. Let's keep it real. I know I got music, thousands of hours of hip hop music. The biggest profession, the biggest work done in most of hip hop music though is selling drugs. That's a fact. There's no way around it. The biggest work that they talk about, the biggest job in hip hop, besides battling other rappers, because we got that, is selling drugs. Right? So that means that the weakness, if we're all put in survival mode, then we're all made weak. You see what I'm saying? And if we're all made weak, we are all prone to wickedness. You see? So it's us that gotta get out of that mindset too. So in the degree that he was talking about, the next one says, what is a real devil? Any man which is made weak and wicked, or any live grafted germ, right, is devil. Live grafted germ, though, is that white man. But it said any man which is made weak and wicked. So any man out there could be devil.
It's in the mind, right?
You know what I'm saying? It's in the mind. The mind stay weak. It could get weak by its position. It can get weak by its physical reality, right? The destruction that's put on it. The black man in stress every single day is a weakened physical position. And it's a physical position so intense, right? A physical strife so intense, a physical destruction so intense is just the stress of being a black man and seeing death around the corner on any level, that weakens him and puts him on the level of being weak and possibly prone to wickedness. You see? You have to fight devilishment within yourself too, because you're in those conditions to be grafted into that, to be destroyed into that, to go other than yourself. See?
Say that, right?
Right? Go other than yourself. You know what I mean?
And for you to become what was grafted to become outside of you.
It's now you.
That's now you.
And now you. You know what I mean? Some heavy shit.
That shit is real because nobody don't see it. It's everybody, in the hood, got something to say about white people and the devil. And okay, yeah, we know this is true. But what are you? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, they refuse to have this type of conversation.
Right. Peace, God.
Love you, man.
Likewise, God. I'm good, man. I'm good.
You know what's crazy? I just watched a timeline of you. You was building the garbage hair. He had on the hat. You got the beard and mustache. You was telling them about how why the media does not do any more.
Oh yeah.
Great Bill, baby.
Appreciate that, guys.
He's so sharp. Love you, Almighty God.
Likewise, God. Yeah, man. The longer you're out there, the more you see devilish, man. You make music though, you go any part of the industry, you have that black devil.
I'm telling you, listen.
Can't go around it.
Okay, so let me tell you. Well, we on the internet, so I'll tell you after we come off of here. I don't want to say nothing, but I'll tell you who's the black devil that for real.
I've had many, man.
Oh God, this one broke my heart. Like I was like, this one broke my heart because when I found out that he was the devil, it let me know that this whole shit is not real at all. When I found out that this one, I told my video, when I tell you his name was the devil, I said, see, everybody loves this thing. Everybody.
That's right.
It'd be real like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know? That's why keeping your civility, keeping your righteousness is a fucking job too.
Yeah, it is.
I never heard that word.
Civility?
Yeah.
Civility.
You know what I mean? Because when people are civil with each other, when people are have ethics and morals, you know what I'm saying, without being told, that is what makes civilization. People being civil toward each other. You know, when the way the Taoists see it though, is that these things never existed until, right never existed until wrong came. What that means is people were just naturally right.
I hate this phone,
You know what
man.
I'm saying? But when devilishment came, then now you had to say, listen, we need rules here. You don't make sure you don't fuck it up. And that's what they mean by now the righteousness exists. Because now you have to put it into words. Now you have to say, this is the rule. This is, you gotta do it like this.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? That's what that means though. It didn't mean that it didn't exist. But once the wrong appeared, then you had to say, this is the right appeared. So a lot of Taoists, their concepts of like the society, if you have to tell people how to be civil, then it's not a civil society.
Exactly.
But this is exactly what we're in.
Right.
You have to tell people what to be civil. You know what I'm saying?
You have to have
And it's
police
not
on the
fair.
corners so people can know what
But
not to do.
we have grown up in this. We live in this. So we have to remind ourselves what is civil and what will be civil. You know, what will be the right ways to maneuver outside to be right. You know what I'm saying? You ask a young kid, right? You ask a kid, somebody does this to you, and should we do, man, I'm the type of person, this kid's like 14. I'm the type of person, if somebody does some shit like this, I just pop off, man. I just pop off, And so, what if you got, got the hammer with you or something like that? I might have to use it and shit. And I'm like, he has been embedded by the side that he has his own cliche, his own stereotype of what he is. Like, he's telling me what his character is.
A 14-year-old
And
child.
you ain't anything yet.
He did nothing.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're supposed to have the opportunity to develop what you would like it to be. Like, you're at the age, you know what I'm saying? And that's the thing, Even at your age, right? You say you're 34, even you have that ability. It's just a society. I talked about Confucius.
Right.
He didn't teach anyone until he was in his 60s. So he's a student the whole time. Didn't feel he's ready to teach them. That's how it's the way that people value age differently in different societies.
Oh yeah, that's a fact.
You know what I'm saying?
Only in
In
America.
this society, especially for us though, right? Like, you didn't make a league. Once you're 23 or something, you didn't make it into sports, you're done, you're dead. Like, I've been around kids that were good ball players, and they didn't make it into a college, and they were like dead. Like, they were thinking about suicide.
Right. They didn't think that there's a
They're
whole
like, yeah.
life overseas. They didn't think that you could have a whole.
But not even that, though. They were
career
just
in another
like,
country.
but I'm saying, like, they weren't good enough to make any, like, league that they could go to.
Right.
Let's say, right?
Right.
Their life is over already. There's nothing else to do. Like, it's done. I'm too old already. You know what I'm saying? Kids that rap today, they try to rap. They don't know about, like, all the massive underground, all these people making their records, right? They know, like,
If I don't do it this way, I won't
I'm
get on.
23. I'm already an old man already. I can't do shit.
It's not even.
Right? That's how kids think.
No, it's real because I thought at 30 I was old, and I'm saying I'm not trying to be 30 and do this and do that, and I had to realize, like, hold on.
I kept telling us. They kept telling us that.
I didn't
It's
realize.
illusion.
Yeah.
I
They
didn't
kept telling us
realize
that.
as a man, my life wasn't starting until I was about 33, 34.
You grow in consciousness, and like I feel like with hip hop now, I feel like the younger generation, a lot of older people look up to them, right? And they haven't even been around long enough to figure out.
You know
who
why?
it is
You know why
they-
the older
they are.
people looking up to them? Because the record companies is giving these younger people, just giving them all the money that they didn't
And
found
it's just
30
money.
years
It's
ago.
just money.
They're giving them money, but they not. It's nothing else.
It's besides the money and what they're wearing. I mean, the music, they're not saying anything. How could you be looking up to, I find that like disgusting. Like, you got people in their 70s and then they looking up to these. I'm like,
Because it
that
also
shows where we went as a society also.
Yeah.
Because remember, there's a painting, no, a picture. It's a famous picture. It's in that art store down on 125th, right? And it's the young boys around a vehicle. It had to be like 1930s or 1940s. It's a real famous picture. But they was all trying to look like the adults. You know, they had like the sharp suits and things like that. You know, nowadays you got the adults trying to look like the younger kids.
Yeah.
I just find that kind of weird.
Yo, that's a good point. Yeah.
because hip hop is the only genre where they put an age limit on it.
Right.
Hip hop is the only music, because I don't say it's the hip hop culture. I could say culture, but the way shit is going on right now, they taking it into a genre. You know what I'm saying? It's not a culture no more because the shit that's going on, the culture is dead in hip hop now. You know what I'm saying? And it's like only in hip hop, if you over 25 and you still rapping, you old and you sit your ass down. So it's like, I don't understand how country music could be singing on stage till they 80 in wheelchairs. R&B, if James Brown was alive, he'd be 80 still dancing. You know what I'm saying? Willie Nelson still performs. Bob Dylan still perform. All the rock stars, Mick Jagger, they all still perform. Cher is 76 years old. She will get a show for $300,000.
Tina Turner.
Will get she almost 80 years old. Will still get a show. Why is it that EP&D ain't dropping no more albums? Why is it that all the other class? Where Rakim album at? G-Rap just dropped the album, but G-Rap.
And you know, that's a good point because if the Rolling Stones could come out and perform, right? And
Where the Juice Crew album at?
And not only that, you know, they like the biggest thing. Right? I had a mentor once, and he was like, you know, his favorite group was like the OJs, and he was like, the OJs, they way better than, you know, Rolling Stones and all these other people. And it's like you would never see them at the same level of success, you know. I don't know if you guys see, there was an interview with Little Richard, and they were talking about like the Beatles, and they used to laugh at the Beatles, you know.
That's right.
Oh yeah, Little Richard did respect the Beatles. He was like, the Beatles.
Who's that?
These are lesser musicians, really.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
And you know what's interesting is that the Beatles are, you know, they're best known, and they became really known for their musical experimentation.
I like the Beatles. I ain't gonna lie. I like the Beatles.
No,
because
I have all the Beatles out.
They got some ill ass music.
In the beginning, they were making a lot of hits, just like the Rolling Stones. They're making a lot of hits off of black music,
Right.
right? And they were really good, but they were their interpretations though. But it's when they get to the Yellow Submarine and things like that they can become really experimental and they make their own things and shit like that. You know what I mean? But what artists that we have that they have to fight to have that you know, daring to be experimental like that. Not allowed to experiment like that.
No, you're not in hip hop. You can't. You gotta
see what a big deal. You know what's like? If you think about, you know what's a big deal? When Isaac Hayes started making long ass songs.
Like Ice Smooth and all that shit.
When he made Walk On By and shit like that.
Like 7 minutes.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. We talk about Marvin Gaye.
Yeah,
that album wasn't supposed to be released because he was talking about shit.
Yeah, it was released actually.
Right? So when we do shit that's experimental, it's a real fight. You know what I'm saying?
They can't have
But if it wasn't for Marvin Gaye though, Stevie wouldn't have been able to do those records.
And neither Michael.
Yeah.
So his contribution was even bigger than just the album, but just taking that after fighting.
Yeah, and after they did that,
then Stevie came out.
They couldn't tell Stevie because Stevie was already known as a great musician. And it's like, Marvin got to do that quality music. You can't. You gotta let me do what I want to do now. I've been doing this shit since I was a kid.
Yeah. He, after Marvin did that, he had, with the very end said, "No,
Stevie had that run. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
and 70s run.
Yeah, he used doing his thing. Still is, but the 70s was his.
But this is the problem with hip hop right now. You see how they let
I disagree with that.
You see how they let
I don't think that I don't think I'm saying this though. There's not a problem with hip hop. There's no problem with it. It's that people don't know what it is.
people don't know what it is.
The music now is incredible. You still know it exists. It's that simple.
Oh, you talking about the hip hop?
Hip hop.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's great hip hop out there. I'm one of you. Sitting.
Yeah.
Look at it.
You know, like, and you just talking about age, right? Like in operatic music, they don't even consider you, like, they think that your voice really matures when you get like 50.
Oh,
That's
when
when
you get the opera, you can't even be an opera
they don't
singer till
think-
you like in your
you know,
40s and
and that
50s.
shows like you gotta come into yourself as a person, a lot of other things.
You see that too in hip hop too. Like we talk about Nas, I feel like his voice has matured a lot though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Has a better command. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Definitely with singing. You see it with certain singers. You didn't always see it with singers because they would destroy their bodies before.
By the time, right?
But if they were healthy, they would definitely mature and they would have more command of the singing.
A lot of them passed off. Yeah.
That's true. You know? With all this information, see this thing, we have more access to information than we did before. You know what I'm saying? I had to really struggle to listen to certain albums back then. You know what I'm saying? Like if I wanted crates and learn about music. When I first started learning about jazz, I really had to really do a lot of study and really search and make sure I bought the right album because jazz has so much music.
Yeah.
You use all your money, you buy the wrong album, and you're like, damn, that ain't even the one, right? Now, if I'm just curious, what is that? I could just YouTube it, listen to the, you know what I'm saying? I got the app, so you can just, listen to it, right? But because there's so much, though, now they have control. That's why the algorithm is important, because now they keep you in the algorithm ghetto. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's phone, everybody's app is gonna look different, though.
Yeah, everything about
People
the
listen. You're listening to some music. They're listening to hip hop too, and then you'll see the suggestions they get. Those are bullshit,
Right.
because they're not going into that rabbit hole properly. You have to know how to go into that search engine and find the shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's real. Because with music, right? Because the situation is so small. You think it's everybody don't know it. Everybody basically know everybody. If you think niggas don't know who you are, you're bugging. And you don't know who likes what. You don't know who's into what as far as with hip hop, because I just got a request from somebody on Instagram who is some rapper with a blue check. I don't know who he is. I had to do research on him. I'm like, yo, who is he? But I'm like, yo, I don't know who he is, but he probably know who I am, because even though they make the type of rap they're making now, they still listen to all type of rap. They still listen to whoever they listen to, even though they make what they make. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know, man. I just look at the hip hop right now. Well, okay. The hip hop he talking about, because he talking about the good hip hop that you got to look for. The hip hop you got to look for, not the hip hop that's on the radio that you can push up on the internet, whatever like that. The hip hop that you got to look for. You know what I'm saying? And with that type of hip hop that you got to look for, those are people who don't have major situations. See, with Marvin and Steven, they was on a major situation, which was Motown. Okay, you got to do what the fuck you told on a major record label. It's not okay. You dropped a crazy album. Okay, yeah, and so you want to put this single out? No, it's what they want to put out. It's the single that they want to promote. You see, you not doing what you want to do, so they let them do what they want to do, and they make monuments. They can't let these rappers do what they want to do because they don't know what the hell they're gonna say. Think about it. Nas dropped the Lost Tapes Part 1 in 2002. Right after he dropped Stillmatic, he dropped the Lost Tapes in 2001, 2002. Yeah. It took almost 30 years for Part 2 to come out because of the shit he was saying on Part 1. Because of all the jewels he was dropping on Part 1. And those are songs that was unreleased. He was dropping nothing but jewels. He said, why listen to somebody tell you what to do when you can do it yourself? He talked to the record labels.
He's a good example, because there's a lot of that. He has so much music that they didn't really want him to release it. No. Yeah.
Prime example, Sunez. Yeah. You're the Man. The You're the Man original version. The one that's on the album, they cut out the first I say 8 or about 6 bars of the second verse on "You're the Man." You know why? Because Nas started talking his truth. I'm not talking because you know how people say this is my truth, but it's really a lie, lying. No, Nas started talking the truth of what he's going through in the music industry as far as the things he got to do to stay famous.
Yeah.
He's talking about how he had to eat graveyard dirt, how he drank his own urine, how he drank his own semen. He almost killed himself after he drank his own semen. All that they cut, but then when they cut it out, the rhyme starts at, but wait, give me time to escape. Jury and fast cars. Someone say because poison a rap star, right? Because he was telling you what poisoned him, but they cut it off. They started off. They said, but wait a second, give me time to think. Right? They cut off everything that he said that he had to do to stay famous. Eat graveyard dirt, drink his urine, drink his semen, all types of stuff, his rituals. You know what I'm saying? They can't have him speak like that because they know his impact on people. See, Jay-Z is the biggest famous. He's the biggest because he's going to do what he's told. Like he's a master manipulator. Jay-Z could walk into the room because Jay-Z got the knowledge himself. Yeah. Jay-Z could walk into the room and read everybody in here. He's a genius like that. He can read everybody in here. He's going to steal it from you. He's going to take your style. He's going to flip your style. Nas is different. Nas is a kid that dropped out at in 8th grade and read nothing but books. Got studied the 120, everything. Said, look at his first album. It's a hip hop money. One of the greatest hip hop albums ever. I mean, Biggie Smalls is the greatest, one of the greatest ever.
That's not mine.
Huh?
That's not fucking with him.
Right. But he can't fuck with Illmatic. And Biggie Smalls is an elite rapper. But he has nothing better than Illmatic. You know what I'm saying? Because they could not let Nas put out a Lost tapes that soon after he put out that part 1. Saying that shit, he said, yo, he talking about Black Zombie in the record label, said, I'm a Columbia record slave, so get paid. And then at the end of the song, he talked to the people. Why listen to somebody tell you what to do? You can do it yourself. I should have been did that. I should have did it myself. Why listen to somebody tell you what to do when you could do it yourself? They don't need a person like Nas putting that message out. You know?
Not then, yeah. They didn't love it.
Nah, that's why he took over 20 years to put the second one out.
That was on
The Lost Tapes Part 1. Part 1. That project to a lot of hip hop heads is a monument like Illmatic. Illmatic is always going to be a classic baby, but then right after that, like I put Lost Tapes. I don't put It Was Written.
Really?
I put
I would put that.
I put the Lost Tapes. It Was Written. It Was Written would have been a better album if it was blended. Like, okay, you see how Biggie did Life After Death with the first CD? Because he had 2 CDs. The first CD, hardcore commercial. This one Nas tried to do with It Was Written. So if he mastered that with Illmatic, so It Was Written should have been like an Illmatic, It Was Written together. And it would have been a monument because the way he flipped that. You know what I'm saying? But that's not what he do. That's not who you, it worked out that, but that's not who you are. That's not who you are. That's who Biggie is. That's not who you are. I'm saying who you are is on Illmatic, certain other songs, but definitely the Lost Tapes. So you're an introspective teacher. You're an introspective street scholar. You're a street scholar. So when you tell people, I'm a Columbia record slave, you'll get paid. Yo, why listen to somebody tell you what to do, you can do it yourself. He giving you, they couldn't have him do no shit like that. Look at Jay-Z. Jay-Z do 444, right? Now you want to tell people about credit and get your money this and get your money that. You want to tell me it's 20 years after Big Pimpin'. You want to tell me it's 20 years after someone. So you want to tell
He didn't really drop jewels that
Yeah,
he didn't really drop them. He tried to.
Pseudo jewels.
He tried to, but what I'm saying is that did anybody care though? Did anybody pick it up? No, because we so used to you talk about drugs and bitches and tricking and all that shit. You did that for like 40 years. So now 444, you want to come try to teach me something? Nobody want to hear that from you, Jay-Z. You ain't Nas. You ain't Nas. Nobody want to hear that from you. You a drug dealer rapper.
And where is it coming from?
Right. You a drug dealer street rapper that like to rap about buying girls. That's it. Like, that's not who you are.
All right, for today, I think we're done here. If anybody has any questions here, y'all said a lot of good things in here, man. Let's see if we do the knowledge here. As usual, powerful, keeping it powerful here. Peace, God. I don't know if anybody answered this, but G1, the Asiatic calendar is definitely not the China. Has nothing to do with Chinese New Year, lunar year. No, it's totally different.
Hey, what's your name, yo?
Muhammad.
Sam.
Sam. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Where you from home?
Bronx.
From Bronx. You too, from Bronx.
I'm from Burnside.
Okay, I'm from Webster, but I live in
What's your what?
168th Street.
All right, so I'm gonna let everybody go. The God powerful, you really added on, so there's nothing I have to say about those questions that wasn't answered properly here. Anybody email me? Let's build.
Rappers Society was 14.
My email her P793. That's right. But we all have our own capabilities now. We can make our own music now. All right. So until I see y'all, all right, let's build. Peace.